What is going on, everybody? What color is your Bugatti? It is episode 270 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
You really had to intro with that.
I had to get it out of the way.
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We've been having a lot of fun in the studio, just, talking about what colors our Bugattis are.
There's nothing that makes Mary more upset than hearing the way Andrew Tate says Bugatti. There's
beef between Greta Thunberg and Andrew Tate, and I don't know. I'm enjoying this timeline.
The funny thing is, the idea here is that the simulation is officially broken, and today my favorite topic is literally Top G, Andrew Tate.
This year has really been the year of the simulation being broken.
Yes.
We've got Elon buys Twitter. We've got Kanye on InfoWars.
And he was going to buy Parler. Remember?
I mean, if he follows through on that.
I don't think he is now.
And then now this.
Yes.
Like, would 2021 you believe any of this stuff if you were told ahead of time?
COVID was just the start.
Right? Yeah. Like, what the hell happened?
We have no idea. So
it's what's the thing that they in CERN that makes the particles collide?
Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah, it must be that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I never believed in that, but now I do.
So there was actually a really great meme recently where it says it's like a lizard person, and he says we're resetting the timeline. We just wanted to see what you guys would do.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So Andrew Tate is feuding with Greta Thunberg of all people online. That is a real story. We're going to talk about that. Kim Kardashian rides the fence on Balenciaga. She just can't bring herself to really condemn the company. We're going to talk about that. James Cameron is a loser and a hypocrite. He's not going to put guns in his movies anymore. Pull the ladder up behind you. Why don't you, Mr. Cameron? I say. And then Bella Thorne gives what I believe to be the most confusing. This is a topic that's this is not a show that necessarily needs a bunch of nuance. We're just here to have fun. But this topic does have a lot of nuance to it. So we are going to talk about Bella Thorne, what she calls sexualization. That's such a hard word for me to say whenever I'm trying to do it on the show. Can always say it when it's just us talking. But yeah, the sexualization of Bella Thorne at a young age by someone in Hollywood. But there's more to the story than that. And then we got a bunch of other stuff. So now that the simulation is broken, now that everything has gone wrong, are you ready to start, Mary?
I guess I have to be.
All right.
Let's jump in.
All right. So you could say that the climate around Andrew Tate has changed.
Andrew Tate.
And that perhaps the globe is warming to Greta Thunberg. No?
I saw people say, damn, Greta, that comeback was so cold you reversed global warming.
Boom. Got him.
Or she roasted him so hard that she actually made global warming worse.
Could be worse now. So Andrew Tate's attempt at Greta Thunberg burn backfires as she, quote, owns him, it says.
Epically. So he really started the beef on Twitter. He provoked her. Here's he posted a picture of him in his Bugatti and captioned it this: "Hello at Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has," and I don't understand any of this terminology. If you're a car guy, you might understand what he's talking about, but I find it incredibly nerdy. "Has a W16 8.0 liter quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812 Competizione have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions."
Yeah.
And Greta Thunberg replied, or maybe someone who manages her Twitter replied with a quote tweet: "Yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com.
She kind of owns herself because she said that was her email, not his. What she should have said
that was his comeback. But
she said that. That was her response.
But then Andrew Tate comes back with a video.
Yes, the video, he didn't need to do that.
Yeah, he's wearing this Versace robe, and he starts by dragging a cigar. And let's just play it. Okay, and
the video.
I felt like the video kind of fell flat. Yeah. Yikes.
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm obviously a stranger to online controversy. It's not something I often do. But now, the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion engines, which run on dead dinosaurs, have an enormous
I don't think he needed to make the video.
Profile.
No, and it's too long.
And she replied by telling me her own email address. Greta's email address is, I have small dick energy.
Fake news. It was small dick energy, not I have it.
Strange. I mean, obviously, I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50.
Even though that's like the cringiest of all the comebacks these days.
I'm not actually mad at Greta.
There's 72 genders.
Pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix.
There's the Matrix. I was waiting for the Matrix to get mentioned.
Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty. To stop the sun from being hot. And then, because I called her out on it, the global Matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet and all this bot commenting to try and pretend.
I'm getting review bombed.
I think he should have just taken the L. Like I don't think her response was mid. Like as they say, like
they were both mid.
It's like the only winners here is us. Like
he did get decisively ratioed though. I think he got like 13,000 retweets and she got 450,000.
Yeah.
Which I don't look, it might be bots, right? But I'm not so sure. And even if it were just bot farming, he did get ratioed. And then his own quote tweet still hasn't reached even close to that.
It's also I think Dustin in the chat was right. I think it's a love story for the ages. I think,
please no.
Yeah. See, the funny thing
I did guess that though. I guessed like, is he trying to hit on her? Or?
One of my favorite things about this job is originally when I saw this story, I had like an actual take about like, look at this person who like you're taking world advice and like advice on global warming and like public policy from somebody who's making jokes about small dick energy. But that's not the point of this podcast. The point of this podcast is to laugh at stupid people doing stupid things.
I don't think you're supposed to take climate advice from any of these activists. But I think like Greta Thunberg may have a team that runs her socials that tries to make it more like trendy and edgy, and it just doesn't hit always. Like I remember when Donald Trump tweeted about Greta saying she has an anger management problem. Yeah. She changed her Twitter bio, or someone who manages it changed her Twitter bio to a teenager working on anger management issues, currently chilling with a friend, watching an old-fashioned movie. So I don't know. The Twitter comeback game, it's hard to win it, but I think this was a rare W for Greta.
I mean, I don't think either of them won.
She did mathematically.
She may have ratioed him, but I think he got the attention that he wanted, and it's just promotion for his brand.
It promotes her too. Like she's in the news too.
It just I think but I think
I hadn't heard anything about her in a while.
As a capitalist, I think he benefits more from the attention than she does.
Yeah. I also saw that somebody went into Andrew Tate's Wikipedia record and went to his kickboxing record and then added an entry where he lost to Greta Thunberg as an opponent. Location, Twitter streets.
Oh man. It's
and the time 1 second. 1 round.
But it is like but really think about this. Like this is somebody who like went in front of government officials and made statements that are supposed to affect how we enforce public policy and what we're supposed to do with our lives. Well, they're not wrong about that. That is, we do live in a clown world.
Pokimane is supposed to do the same thing. If she's looking to legally combat online trolling, she's going to be presenting her ideas to legislative bodies.
What do you think that would be like?
Yes, we live in a clown world, but like I'm here for it.
Do you think they would allow her to do it digitally, like from a stream, like not make her go, or like maybe she
would they allow a VTuber to present points before Congress? It'll be the end of America, but maybe.
No, they bring the computer to Congress,
like that teacher in Ned's Declassified.
Yes, but they just bring the computer and then she just logs in and does it, and then it's beamed to all their screens, even though they're all in the same room. Mm-hmm. And then we can do that, and then we can stop bullying, and we can stop climate
ASMR
change
testifying before Congress.
Okay, as somebody who's not a huge fan of any type of government intervention, ASMR should be illegal. I'm just saying.
Yeah, especially
legislate
on Twitch.
Legislate ASMR.
Some people said, wow, Greta Thunberg is out here body shaming Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah, like very offended by that, very triggered.
Yeah.
I do think this was a decisive victory for Greta.
See, I don't think it's decisive. I think it's just a bit of like he should have just left.
You tried to start beef with a teenager on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then she ended the beef.
I think she's left.
What he should have done is purchase the domain getalife.com and then just like made it into this big shitpost website with a bunch of gifs of Greta Thunberg saying how dare you.
The internet is a dangerous place.
10 ways to worsen climate change. Number 1, buy a Bugatti.
Yes.
Number 2, eat red meat. Like he should have like bought that domain name and made some kind of shitpost out of it. But the video quote tweet was a bit of a mistake.
But even then, like any amount of time that it takes to respond, like a lot of the posts were pointing out, like, look, you took an hour for you to make this. That's an hour you spent doing it.
Whoever quote tweeted him took 5 seconds to do it.
Post and ghost.
Yeah.
And leave it and just
that was my strategy on TikTok.
That was like post and leave it be.
Yeah, like if people get mad at you, what's the point in responding, especially in a long form video? I think it just makes him seem like he was bothered.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if he had just left it be, it doesn't really matter.
You thought that Greta should have called him Tater Tot?
Yes,
she should. Okay, Tater Tot. And then he's like super triggered and traumatized because he was bullied as like he was like called Tater Tot in school. And every time that he sees tater tots, he has like PTSD flashbacks.
I guarantee you he got called a Tater Tot as a kid. In fact, somebody could Photoshop like an Andrew Tate Tater Tot like logo.
And he's only capable of eating tater tots in complete privacy because otherwise someone is going to point out the double entendre.
The funny thing is I don't actually hate Andrew Tate. I know you hate Andrew Tate. I actually get a huge kick. I get a huge kick out of his like weird takes on random things. Like I don't like, he's a very well-spoken person, but I get a kick out of him like going like he's against like bottled soap. And he goes on this long diatribe as to why you should only use bars of soap.
No, I agree with some of his opinions. Not the bar of soap one, for sure. I'm anti-bar soap.
But he's also like, he has a long spiel about why he hates Apple Watches. And why like I get a kick out of that because I imagine that there's a lot of people that have a similar thought, but just aren't as well spoken and don't know how to put it into words. Like
he'll
why
just
they
like
hate
take a really
like
principled stance on the randomest topic.
Yeah.
But I don't hate Andrew Tate, to be clear. I think that he's a bit of a laughingstock on the internet because obviously a lot of this is just a performance for him and he knows how to like work the attention economy in his favor.
Yeah.
But then a lot of his fans are like think that he's serious.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and they think of him as like a pinnacle of masculinity, which is like basically being a consumerist, buying as many cars as possible, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey.
Well, he's
like
that's a
talking about like I sleep with a lot of women. Yes, it's a character, but a lot of people buy it as like something laudable. Just like we were talking about Akon praising polygamy, and then there are a bunch of broke dudes saying like, yeah, this is so true.
But
like, you're not Akon
though.
I saw this one tweet that I mean, maybe this is taking it too seriously, but this tweet said, when you conceive of masculinity in terms of materialism, lacking spiritual progression or duties to others, you get this rather peculiar childishness that mistakes bravado for confidence, yet is clearly enslaved to worldly standards of wealth.
Yeah.
Like, I agree that he's kind of made a new iteration of like man cave and beer masculinism, like football and trucks, country music, almost masculinity.
It's like a different type of that. It's funny too. Our chat seems to be like there was like some pretty good divide here about like who took the L on this one, and I think
the real winners are us too, because we get to talk about it,
also,
and we
like,
get free content.
Aggressor, as somebody in the chat pointed out, aggressor usually loses. Like he loses because he like made it a thing. Yeah. She had a halfway decent teenager comeback, and then he chose to go further. If he had just left it be, nothing would have happened. Nothing would have came of this.
Yeah, I think that it was probably somebody that manages her account anyway, because her Twitter bio literally says autistic climate justice activist. I don't know why it's so important to let the whole world know that you have autism.
That's a thing now. Well, people love to define themselves by their limitations.
Yeah, but if you define yourself by your limitation on Twitter and then try to win a Twitter beef, you're already at a disadvantage.
Dustin says, I don't know, she reacted to his troll. Yeah, this is an interesting school of thought. I'm actually I'm one of those people, if people say negative stuff to me online, I don't respond because you're giving them the reaction that they want in the first place. You can get one over on them some of the time, I guess, but it's why play into it at all? Mm-hmm. Right?
A lot of people are mad in the chat about my take.
Why?
I guess it's just that they think he's the top G.
Look,
and they're asking what color is your Bugatti?
I have, like I said, I enjoy how well spoken he is and how he manages.
I hate his accent.
She hates his accent, guys. She really.
I hate Greta's accent too, and I obviously am probably on the same page with Andrew Tate about what climate change activism is and how much of a scam a lot of it is, and the fact that Greta is an incredibly ignorant instrument of a kind of matrix.
Bjorg with pipe in the chat says, what are acceptable masculine interests, Mary?
I think that acceptable masculine interests.
I think you were criticizing
I don't think that being into cars, beer, or any sports stereotypical things are unacceptable to have as masculine interests. I just think that shouldn't define masculinity, and we're so lost right now with gender dynamics. We're so confused as a society about what it means to be a man or a woman that a lot of gurus out there are trying to reduce masculinity or femininity down to things that you can buy and wear.
Well, yeah, it's like you said, all the world is a stage. So what you're doing is you show an amplified version of what you think that is to the world as part of a character that you're playing. And I do believe that for the good advice that he gives, some of the takes are cringe. He's portraying a bit of a character in a lot of respects, and those things are aspects of a character that define certain parts of masculinity, but certainly not all of them.
I think that this is in a way analogous to activists on the gender cult that think that femininity can be reduced down to wearing a skirt and lipstick and heels, and then you can be accepted into any female space.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in a different disguise.
Yeah.
Masculinity or femininity are not about your superficial interests, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the sports you enjoy. It's obviously something different than that. And I think that a lot of gurus, at least who are adjacent to Andrew Tate, try to reduce it down to appearances.
Yeah.
And superficially grandstanding on the internet. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. Not that it's unacceptable to like those things.
For sure. All right, let's move on. Let's get some super chats.
Thank you guys. It says from Cody McNutt. First time watching live. Much excite. Wow.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, Doge. Hava Owens said, he sent us another one without a message. Maybe that was a mistake. Hava Owens said, Red Bar made Tate cry on video. Greta takes an L. I don't know what that means. Did he cry on video?
Is it just that he was complaining on video?
Wait, what's Red Bar? I don't know. Do you know? Hava Owens also said, I don't hate Tate, just tired of seeing him in feed.
He is the most overexposed person on the internet by far.
I think he is a CIA psyop because the way that he just popped up out of nowhere is a little sus to me, and his dad was in the CIA.
Well, that funnily enough would make him
undisclosed whether he's still an operative.
That's funnily enough would make him part of the Matrix complaining about the Matrix.
Which is even more extremely part of the Matrix.
Yeah, it's very devious.
I have a feeling he might be an op. Alex making beds and writing novel on the side said, Tate won, even if he lost on Twitter. Every conflict raises his profile. He needs to raise awareness for his brand. Also, Greta is yesterday's news.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what's the next iteration of this? Is it David Hogg versus, I don't know, Pearly?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, what would be the analog for that be? It would be David Hogg and Pearly
like
arguing.
More former child activists versus internet guru fights.
Yeah.
I think that what they need to do is take this to an IRL debate and really hash it out face to face. That would be hilarious.
I'd be cool.
And it would benefit both of them because they both get to, put their opinion out there. And also all of the people that ship them together would have a chance to write fanfic about it.
Yeah. Did you really have a friend who wrote fanfic about Greta Thunberg?
Guys, I hope he's not watching this right now, but I had a friend tell me that he wrote self-insert fanfic about Greta Thunberg. And here's like the basic premise of it. So they're at like some climate activist fundraising event or something like that. And she slinks away in an evening gown to some balcony somewhere.
Is it in black and white? That's what I need to know. Is this in black and white?
Yeah. It's all like, like noir style.
I love it.
She slinks away to a balcony and she like lights a cigarette and he follows her out there and they start like having all of this like quick-witted banter and like with like high sexual tension where he like calls. No, they're the same age. Like
anything involving her is disgusting. I apologize.
So he like calls out her hypocrisy for like contributing to air pollution by smoking cigarettes. And then they like fall in love or something. I read the whole thing. I don't regret it.
Look, I don't think I've ever read any fanfic in my life, and I will stay away. I will stay far away.
What happens to a man that forces him to write self-insert Wattpad fics about Greta Thunberg?
Dustin says AOC versus Stein. So that would be, remember the AOC and Elon Musk like video of their love story, the Hallmark video of them falling in love? Oh my God. I wonder if we could watch that right now.
Who made this?
It was online. It was on social media. It was like him looking longingly and her looking longingly. It was incredible.
Just like deceptively editing.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So it's like, and then we got one more there and then we will move on.
Yesh said, smash it if you know you know.
Well, no, here, Yesh, we do not. We gently tap the like button here.
Yes.
So if you guys could gently tap the like button in support of the show, please leave a comment on this video as well. Subscribe to the channel. If you are not subscribed already, we would appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
Amazing call to action,
yes.
Brett. You're doing great.
Well, I just need to remember to do it at the beginning of the show. That's the part I always forget. All right, guys, we're moving on. This topic got very, very, very fiery yesterday.
I was ticked, guys. Here's what happened. I saw this TikTok. Kim Kardashian recently did a podcast where she completely backtracked on accountability for her business relationship with Balenciaga following their infamous bondage teddy bear scandal. And yeah, she's just completely dodged personal accountability for not cutting them off as a business partner. Kimberly Kardashian West. I'm going to speak to you like a mother now because you pissed me off.
The 22-year-old is now speaking to the 40-something-year-old.
As a mother, I find it incredibly hypocritical that you wouldn't take a stand in defense of the children in this photo shoot. But at the same time, you seem to so fiercely defend the innocence of your own children, protecting them from the truth about your personal dramas.
Yeah.
This video really pissed me off. I'd like to show it to you guys so you have context.
The TikTok one?
Yeah.
All right.
Here it is.
It was like, everyone was like, why aren't you speaking out? Why aren't you speaking out? And I'm like, wait, I'm not in this campaign. I don't know what's happening. Let me like take a minute to research this. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I saw what everyone was seeing on the internet and the reality of the situation, I completely spoke out and gave my thoughts on child and completely denounced it. Mm-hmm. But because I didn't say, "Fuck you, Balenciaga," that's it. People got mad at that. So
yeah.
It's like, they're mad if I don't speak out. They're mad if I do speak out and if I don't cancel. Mm-hmm. They're just mad that
it's also not the use of cancel.
If
That's
you
not
don't
right.
cancel someone in today's society, then
so manipulative.
it's just like, I know people talk about cancel culture and how crazy it is, but it's still happening. And so it's never been my place.
Yeah, Balenciaga is somehow the victim here.
Is to make mistakes, is to grow and to evolve and to be better people. Obviously, there is absolutely no place or an ounce to even play with anything with children. Like any sexualization of children, there's like not an ounce of that should be in our brains and in our society.
Thank you for stating the obvious.
I couldn't have been more clear on, this is horrifying. This is disturbing.
We were clear on that, babe.
But unless they heard what they wanted to hear, is like, fuck you, you're canceled.
That's not
Balenciaga.
That's not what that word means. That's not what that word means. Also,
Kim Kardashian.
She's a robot, dude.
Oh my gosh.
She's an absolute robot.
I saw comments that were like, the spin she put on this shows she's just like practicing for her time as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And like her PR team obviously didn't prepare her well for this. Here's the thing. Nobody was asking you to say F Balenciaga, F this, F that. Yeah. No one was asking you to, quote, cancel them, anything like that. What they were asking you to do was very simple and a reasonable ask. Cut off your business relationship with them, which earns you and them profit. Also, just cut off the business relationship with them, and no one would have been mad.
But she wasn't part of that campaign anymore.
No, she wasn't part of the campaign, but she was still a business partner with them.
Yes. Okay.
So she gets dressed by them. She promotes them. You would be shocked to find out the amount of planning that goes into just the paparazzi appearances of women in this level of notoriety.
Well, think about what we talked about when
everything is a brand deal.
When her team gave like a heads up to TMZ that she was going to be going to file a police report about her like facial, about having
everything is a PR scheme, and everything is a brand deal for them. All people were asking for is that Kim Kardashian cut off her business ties with Balenciaga.
Yep.
It was a very reasonable thing to ask. Instead, though, she waited days to speak on this. Look, when it was a very cut and dry thing.
I don't have a problem with somebody waiting to make a statement.
No, that's not inherently the problem. But the first thing she posts after that period of silence is a picture of her ass. So in the comments on that picture, everyone was like, excuse me, were you planning on speaking on the fact that this company that you are sponsored by essentially has openly sexualized children and tried to pull one over on the audience for this campaign?
This is why I would never want to be a public figure, because I don't want to have to I don't want my opinions on everything to have to be something where like it matters when I make a statement.
It's not the timing even that people made a big deal about. So she's being intellectually dishonest.
Yeah.
Sure, some people were complaining like, why is it taking you so long to speak on this? I get that. But she hastily ran to Twitter when it came to, canceling her ex-husband, right? This is not an example of cancel culture in action. This is like...
It's a company, not a person.
Right. It's a company that made a business move that is being rightfully criticized. That's the opposite of canceling.
Also, let's face it, like there hasn't been a whole lot of pushback. Not that I've seen. I showed the video that one day of Ivory Hecker went to the Balenciaga store in a mall. Nobody knew, nobody cared. The
pushback has been incredibly tepid for the gravity of the subject matter, really. Yeah. And I think that's in part due to the responses from people like Nicole Kidman, who openly doubles down in her support of Balenciaga, and then even Ye, which surprised me because he talks about like, what about the children? But he even tweeted so much in support of Balenciaga after this happened, saying like, I stand with them.
Which makes no sense given that he's very...
After he was dropped by them.
But not just that, but also he's very pro protect children. He's very anti-pornography. Like he talks about the detrimental effect of pornography on the brain. Yeah. Like pornography bad, but company doing exploitative things to kids okay? That makes no sense.
Not every aspect of Ye's thought process makes sense these days. But yeah, he is reportedly mysteriously disappeared, according to a former manager. This guy's name is Thomas St. John, and he's currently trying to serve Ye papers for a $4.5 million lawsuit about unpaid fees. And Ye is nowhere to be found to get served these papers. He's kind of pulling an Olivia Wilde.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I think they said last time he was publicly photographed was December 14th.
Taking a break.
It's been a while.
He doesn't have Milo anymore, so he's reestablishing his campaign. He's got to figure out what his next step is for his presidential run.
We'll see if he turns up soon. But also, I'm just saying it's incredibly rich that Kim runs to Twitter to denounce the father of her own children over this like Twitter anti-Semitism scandal. But then when it comes to an issue that I would argue is even more cut and dry, which is the sexualization of children, something I hope at least everyone can be on the same page about.
Okay,
she has to think about the nuance, and yes, she ended up cutting off her relationship with Balenciaga, but only once she replaced it with a different brand deal.
Okay, there's a comment here that I think is fair. So Keys says, why are you saying canceling deals that involve millions is simple compared to denouncing the company's actions? I think canceling $1 million deals is a bigger hassle than denouncing them.
Canceling a multi-million-dollar deal is genuinely not a problem for Kim Kardashian, a billionaire.
Well, yeah, but what they're saying is that you have to put wheels in motion, right? You have to call lawyers. Lawyers have to draw up papers. Documents
all the public
take time.
needs to know is like, I'm in the process of cutting off my relationship with Balenciaga.
Without knowing the contract, we can't know how simple of a process that would be. Like, I'm not saying
it happened within a matter of weeks.
But what I'm saying is that, like, I don't know if we can know the details as to, like, maybe she's not legally allowed to make a statement.
I'm sorry. Why are we coming to the defense of Kim Kardashian?
I'm just pointing out the opposite.
That speaks for itself. She does not need anyone to be white knighting for her. And she is complicit in actual child abuse. I do not care about the context.
Okay.
I really don't. Especially when she's
talking from the
preaching about cancel culture.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with cancel culture. This is about holding a mega corporation, multi-billion-dollar worth corporation, accountable for exploiting children. I mean, if you actually go into the depths of the details in that campaign, anyone who actually went down that rabbit hole knows that it was horrific, that it was planned, that also, they dropped their lawsuit against the production company that helped them put it together. It was all planned, and she was in on it. There's no nuance to it, and there's nothing about waiting a few days and then posting a picture of your ass on Instagram that says, you know, she was just like, you know, taking her time and thinking really hard about it. Her response is to like kind of go the anti-woke grift route. Like, her PR team was like, oh, yeah, just say that they're trying to get you into a cancel culture mob. And then
I think that's shifting the focus. I don't think that's right. Well, like I said, she denounced the ad. She denounced stuff happening to children. That's what she's supposed to do, right? So beyond that, without knowing what the legalities of the business decisions are, I can't speak to when she's supposed to do that. I do agree that posting a picture of your ass before doing anything else was probably not the best
testing the waters. It's testing the waters for what people's reaction will be
normal people
before
don't know
you make permanent decisions.
And normal people don't know what's going on with this stuff. Like,
which is why she's lying.
Yeah.
That's why she is trying to sell this broke down, incoherent narrative about, you know, poor Balenciaga, poor oppressed little Balenciaga being, you know, made a victim of cancel culture. Well, that's
the part I hated the most about it, was talking about it as if like you're the poor company, right? No. The poor company.
When the father of her children has been like trotted out and humiliated on the world stage. Yeah. Suspended on all socials, and, you know, all of his business relationships were instantly ended, with the exception of Adidas, who waited like, I don't know, a week, in response to something that objectively I think is less egregious than what Balenciaga did. So no, I don't think that this was a principled response from her. I think she was trying to see if people would memory hole it fast enough for her to continue working with Balenciaga.
That seemed to be the largest takeaway I had for it, is that most of the celebrities that were involved with the company were just testing the waters to wait and see how long will this stay in the news cycle.
Here's the truth.
Look what DC is doing with Ezra Miller. They've just allowed it to be memory holed because normal people don't know that Ezra Miller's
on a much smaller scale.
Yes.
But like what Kim Kardashian seemed to not realize is it's a smarter decision to cut off that business relationship as quickly as possible, be transparent about doing so because the people are asking for that response. And that saves your name and your brand more than it saves the money you were going to get off of working with this designer brand. Yep. Like, her name is more valuable than any money she was going to make off of collaborating with that brand.
Yep.
So it's bizarre to me that she waited that long when it did more damage to her reputation than anything. Her reputation is her moneymaker. Her name is her income, not brand deals itself. It's whether companies are willing to work with her in the future based on how the public perceives her. This did nothing good for her public perception and everything bad. And then in this same interview, she was complaining and literally crying about how hard it is to be like co-parenting with someone who's so
there's nothing more frustrating
unstable,
than...
and I just have to pretend that everything is okay and shield my kids from it. Like, you're shielding your kids from your, what should be private family drama, but at the same time won't stand for other people's children that have been like pictured next to inherently sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical, obviously.
I just
think it's sick that she tried to manipulate people, and I'm glad that no one is buying it, and I'm glad that every time we see things like this from Hollywood, I'm just like, I'm glad I'm not a part of that.
Yep. Well, that's
glad I'm not you. Glad I'm not Kim Kardashian. Because no money is worth being this morally corrupt.
Yeah. Well, what we're talking about with the actual incidents, obviously, but like as far as like the legalities of timing, ability to make statements and contracts, I don't know any of it, so I can't comment on it. But
then what she should say in the interest of transparency is, for legal reasons, I couldn't have commented on it earlier, so I waited. But instead she said, I was trying to do my research. There's nothing to research about a picture of a child holding a teddy bear with sexual bondage gear on it. Like, that's on its surface. There is no nuance. There is no research to be done. The more you research it, the worse it gets, which we found out.
Did you see the picture, or I'm sorry, the video of the person who went to Balenciaga and wore bondage gear to apply for a job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not socially acceptable when the plebs do it. Yeah. But when you do it because it's like fashionable and artsy and dope, like that's what they call it, dope. Yep. Then it's okay.
The chat is with you.
I'm done.
You are there saying.
Well, I saved my I was in the red with my Andrew Tate comments.
But you're back now.
Now I'm back.
Super base.
I'm back in their good graces. Let's go to Super Chats. Corey Anderson said, Mary, did you get engaged over Christmas?
Oh, by the way, there was also a lot of people wondering.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Also, a lot of people were like, Mary has kids, because you said as a mother.
No, I'm saying to Kim, like, as a mother.
But I think they thought that you meant that you had kids.
Yeah. I never said I was engaged, though.
No.
I don't know where.
But in the chat, they were like, do you have kids?
This is my left hand, y'all.
And no kids.
There are no kids. There's no ring.
Yes.
But I could be secretly married like Amaranth.
That never know. Yeah, well, the ring is, you can't
never know.
You got to take the ring off when you're working.
Hava Owens said, Mike David from Red Bar Radio made Tate cry on video before Tate really blew up. But they're cool now. Wow. I was like actually Googling like Andrew Tate crying on Google Images earlier because I was like, what if we use that in a thumbnail? But I couldn't find anything. I'm interested now. Jetstorm39 said, ACC, it's your boy again, wanting to say hi and a hi back. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, man. It's almost Happy New Year's.
Hello.
We're getting there.
Yes.
Are you excited about 2023?
Yes, but also scared because the timeline has gone off the rails
we're gonna
hard
be good
this year.
It's gonna be good. I've got good. Like, one thing that was funny is, like, when 2021 was coming to a close and 2022 was coming to a close. When 2021 was coming to a close, there was a lot of people, because we were just out of COVID, or starting to get out of COVID, where people are like, you don't want to make those posts about next year's my year because everyone had a bad year. Like, it feels like we're getting farther and farther past.
Have we done our karmic retribution yet?
I don't know about that.
Do we get to have a good time again?
I don't know about that, but I think for a large part of it is, like, I've had maybe it's just because I love my job, so it's a lot easier when you love your job and you love your work. But it's
this has definitely been a crazy year for me, like, arriving here.
Yeah, but the work in general is almost a double-edged sword, because then you're surrounded by even more of the news, like, than you already were. But oddly enough, like, I pay less attention to politics now because we work up here all day, which is kind of nice, because, like, I don't want to argue with people about politics all day. I just don't care anymore. Plus, it's like, really, like, I don't have it in me to argue with the same people over and over again about stuff that nobody's going to see eye to eye on. But it's like, it's not like this news is any less depressing from time to time. You have to find a way to laugh at it, otherwise it's just going to be a disaster for you mentally.
I always think that the stuff we talk about is, like, far more interesting
than policy,
politics.
than politics and policy. Like, we rub up against it from time to time, but like, it's not like that's the focus of it. Like, we covered on on Thursday last week, we talked about Sean Penn saying that everyone not vaccinated should have to stay in their home and shouldn't be allowed to work. That's, like, kind of politics, but it's really just a celebrity being an idiot.
Yeah, like, we'll cover celebrities butting into politics.
But that's different than having to talk about Josh Hawley and
freaking AOC tweeted this.
And it's just like, I don't care.
Big Dave sent us 99 cents without a message. Thank you. Bobcat said, do women think booty pics are as impressive as dumb guys think D pics are? I don't think either are impressive. So.
There was, I don't know about that.
Were you about to go into some diatribe, but you decided not to?
There was a story there from, like, a video that I watched earlier. We're not gonna go into it. It would take too long.
Bobby said, nice claws. Thank you. Bad app sent a ring emoji and a taco emoji. Still not putting that one to bed, I see.
Come back to it one day.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're moving on. So James Cameron, the hypocrite that he is winning right now, actually, James Cameron, because Avatar 2, The Way of Water, has made it to $1 billion faster than any movie in 2022. But the problem is
$1 billion more to go, man. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But James Cameron, oh, by the way, this is from timcast.com. This article.
Yes. Shout out to Adrian Norman.
Director James Cameron is going to cut gun scenes from his movies, which, of course, this is kind of like the director's version of a comedian who pulls the ladder up behind them when they get to make the offensive jokes when they were younger, and now they tell you that you can't make those jokes. That's offensive. That's bad.
Sorry, what happened to James Cameron being COVID positive and locking himself up for a couple of weeks? I thought we were going to have quiet time.
This was probably an online interview because it's with Esquire Middle East. So,
I thought that he was at the Red Sea Film Festival for this.
This was, so it says, he said the movie would have run 10 minutes longer if they had kept these scenes with gunplay. My favorite part
is,
like,
the unintended consequences making it 10 minutes shorter.
We got out of there at 3 hours and 15 minutes.
We could have even cut more.
So I loved, I like this movie. I should say love this movie. I like this movie, and it's funny too because we've gotten comments from both where some people are like, "You just hate Black Adam," because I made a video, like, I think that might have been when you were gone, like, that was like Avatar passed Black Adam in like less than a week. Mm-hmm. Like they're like, you either hate Black Adam or you hate Avatar. I like this movie. I thought it was fine.
You also liked Black Adam.
I also like Black Adam. But the point here is this is the guy who made Terminator. That's why the thumbnail for this will be a sweet picture of Arnie with a shotgun. Like, you don't get to make all the money off stuff that men, classically masculine things that, remember, classically masculine, like we were just talking about 2 topics ago. People like guns. Like it or not, people like guns. People like movies with guns. It is a thing. And now, because he claims that the gun violence in America is now so bad, like, didn't he make Terminator during the height of like the crime epidemic in New York City? Why wasn't it a problem then?
James Cameron is an example of a lot of people in Hollywood who are genuinely talented, have made great films, and have earned their position there. And then they just have to go and ruin their relationship with the viewer base by being just obnoxious about all of their political opinions. A lot of people said that they were alienated by his comments about, testosterone being a toxin that needs to be excreted from the body.
And we made plenty of fun of that.
And we made fun of him for that, which we should have. And now he's talking about gun violence. It just seems like he's out of touch. Like, I don't even see other people talking about gun violence that much these days.
He doesn't live in
and he never got backlash for including gun violence in any of his movies, did he?
No, not that.
So he's just pulling this out of thin air.
The funny thing is the gun violence one is like me, who doesn't argue with people about politics, ever got pulled into a gun violence of all the topics this year after Uvalde. Just somehow.
I mean, that was more of an argument that needed to be had about like cops than anything. Yeah. But let's just read what he said. He said, "I cut about 10 minutes of the movie targeting gunplay action. I wanted to get rid of some of the ugliness to find a balance between light and dark. You have to have conflict, of course. Violence and action are the same thing, depending on how you look at it. This is the dilemma of every action filmmaker, and I'm known as an action filmmaker." I almost misread this quote and thought that he said, "I'm known as the action filmmaker." And I thought that's totally something that James Cameron would say.
Here's the problem, though. That movie is like, so if we were to take a spear gun, which they use in the movie, as long as you take and use violence against somebody with a spear gun, is that okay? Because they use spears
they use spears and harpoons.
As long as you use that, it's fine.
Giant bionic crabs in Avatar. So I mean, when are we going to ban those?
Yeah.
You don't need that. You don't need a bionic crab. He also said he's happy to be living in New Zealand, where they just banned all assault rifles. I'm sure he's happy to be living there with their draconian mask mandates as well, and he's just a good, well-behaved citizen there.
I imagine that that he loves living there, but for the most part, I also assume that he doesn't know what assault rifle even means, and that he assumes that if he buys an AR-15, that it's got select fire and it's not just a single-shot weapon.
Guns like pick themselves up and fire themselves.
That's a thing.
That's actually a thing
that
they do.
That weird liberals believe. They believe just guns just go off.
Speaking of like whether or not they're traditionally masculine, they are, but also like I think women used to be way more well-versed in guns, and like to the people viewing right now, if there are ladies in your life that need training with guns, like definitely offer it to them.
The great equalizer. Yeah. That's like, and it wasn't even, somebody in the chat mentioned, remember when they dropped the Uzi down the stairs in True Lies? That is an even better example of like between Terminator, True Lies, Aliens, like
delusional.
It bothers me. Like, first of all, when I read this, I said laughs in John Wick. Like, because like when I read this, I will now buy 2 tickets to see the new John Wick movie this year and go twice, just because I do not have to worry about Keanu Reeves yelling at me about gun violence, because Keanu Reeves loves guns. But somehow everyone loves Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that is. I don't know why.
I know you think that's fake.
Is that like a meme?
No, he's just the nicest dude on earth. He is.
Who did I compare him to that you hate?
Bill
Murray. You think that Bill Murray is like overly twee and overly familiar with people, where he like tries to make these endearing publicity stunts, but it fails.
No, Bill Murray tries to be quirky. He tries to be Hollywood quirky, meaning that he's like, look at me, I'm on camera doing something weird and wacky. He just got behind the bar and started bartending. He doesn't even work there. That's what I'm talking about for that. Keanu Reeves gets caught being nice to people. Now, some of it, Hannah Claire actually does take issue with this. She's like, it seems like a publicity stunt.
I say the same thing.
I don't.
It's sort of like how everyone tends to feel sorry for Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Is it Fraser or Frasier? I don't know. But they like treat him with pity to the point where I feel it's almost condescending. But yeah, like James Cameron doesn't do himself any favors as like being likable in the media.
No.
Because he could be like one of the most well-liked directors out there if he just did what he's best at, make good action films, simple as, And I think that he did well with Avatar 2. Like, I thought it was okay.
Because when you have the media and the Hollywood machine behind you, you don't need to be annoying on social media to get publicity.
This is an example of more than just the media asking leading questions and framing things wrong. He just goes on and on just blathering about topics that no one asked about.
Aliens. Money symbol.
He's the guy that wrote aliens with a dollar sign at the end, dude. He's so epic.
Like, but this is
genre defining.
This is not the first person to do this. I remember just after, I don't think it was after Uvalde. I think it was after another incident before that where The Rock made a claim where he said all movies produced by his production company from now on will use rubber guns. Mm-hmm. And then there was two bills.
Fair.
No.
After Alec Baldwin, can these people be trusted on sets with real?
Well, look, yeah, but that was like a horribly run production that was not run in Hollywood proper. Like they had people that weren't union workers on set there. There was all sorts of problems going on there to begin with. That was a shoddily run production. When you think about how many movies are made every year, how many television shows are made every year with guns in each and every scene, there is not a problem. It's like, it's the same issue, right? They're blaming the weapon, not the people. They will blame literally everyone but the person who chooses to
blame
do the
anyone or anything but our dear Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you can't blame Alec Baldwin for anything.
By the way, I think we were factually mistaken about something. Adam Baldwin is related to Alec Baldwin.
No, he's not. No, they're not.
Yeah, nope. I looked it up, and it says on IMDb that they're distantly related.
Not related.
It says it on IMDb.
Well, if IMDb
are you going to become an IMDb editor?
I
think that you would actually be bomb at that.
Okay, no, actually, okay.
You can be the guy on IMDb, like the guy in Wikipedia that goes in every time a celebrity dies and changes it to past tense.
I'm going to admit something here. I add to the trivia section on IMDb.
I think that that's endearing.
I regularly add to the trivia section on IMDb on stuff that I watch. Like
doing a public service.
It's like,
for
yes.
us all.
I was like, look at this episode of this show with Sally Richardson Whitfield. Did you know that she also worked with this actor on this show? Yeah, I do that like fairly regularly. I lost about 1,000 points of cool just by admitting that, but that's fine. Like that's okay.
I guess there need to be fact checkers on IMDb, and Brett is the perfect candidate to do so.
Alex, Stephen, and William are brothers, but not Adam. Adam is not related to them.
Well, it says they're like a distant cousin of some sort. From what I remember,
I do not believe they're like. As far as I remember reading,
someone go in and edit that, please. Let's get back on topic. So I wanted to also like look at this one quote. He said, "I look back on some films I've made, and I don't know if I would want to make that film now. I don't know if I would want to fetishize the gun like I did on a couple of Terminator movies 30 plus years ago in our current world. What's happening with guns in our society turns my stomach."
Nobody talking about Terminator is fetishizing the gun.
They love
character. The movie. They love the story. Like everybody knows what who Arnie played in that movie, and everyone loves the idea of artificial intelligence and having to go back in time to save the world, or have to go to the future to save the world, whatever. Like nobody cares about the gunplay. It's just a means to an end with the storytelling.
Maybe Terminator Dark Fate didn't fetishize the gun enough.
That could have been it. Maybe if they had used... Well, actually, that's funny, too, because like guns are actually more of an effective tool to use if you're going to use female action stars, because remember, guns are the great equalizer. I don't need to watch a 100-pound girl beat up a 6'4" Navy SEAL. I need to watch the girl use the items at her disposal to defeat the people that are larger than her, because it will actually add to the believability of what you're watching.
And shout out, by the way, to Jeffree Star just walking the walk in Wyoming on that alpaca farm with your pink machine guns. Go off, queen.
Yeah, own your weapon.
King.
Did you ever see the picture
whatever you are
of Hillary Duff walking around with the Glock case?
No.
Yeah, Hillary Duff has it's a picture for it's
iconic.
She's like leaving it's like a.
This is what happens when you're a well-adjusted former child star.
Yeah, it was like a yogurt stand, and she's got like a yogurt in one hand and a Glock in a case in the other.
Wow, what a legend.
I know, right?
I love that.
But I'm saying it's just funny to me because it's just never going to go away. They tried to introduce 2 bills that would regulate gun use in movies right after these last few like major incidents, neither of them, especially after the Baldwin incident, led to 2 bills being proposed in the state of California, obviously, because that's where the majority of these movies are being made. Nothing came of either of them. They both died on the table.
Because they'll point the finger at everyone else in society but themselves.
Yes. Well, they will blame
the craziest shit goes down on Hollywood sets, and none of them are held accountable. But they'll tell us that we're evil if we own guns, or if we, supposedly fetishize them.
Shannon in the chat says Hannah Montana better have a gun rack. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack.
I think a lot of celebrities probably are gun owners, but not willing to talk about it.
What am I going to do with a gun rack? If they know the quote, somebody will point it out in the chat. That's from a movie. But yeah, like I'm sure most of them
they're at like some of the highest risk in society for like home invasions, especially living in LA.
Yeah, one of the things we never talk about is all the celebrities who have like crazy stories about like it's like videos of like a homeless person coming up to their property and trying to break in, or all these stories about stalkers.
Sort of like how you peed on Kanye West's lawn in like 2005.
Yes.
Throwback.
I would not have shared that story publicly, probably. But yes, a very long time ago. Yes, in Chicago on a trip, very drunk. It's a different time. It's a different time.
I think that he wouldn't fault you for it.
Yes, I would like to hear his opinion on it. If only we'd gotten to interview him, that would have been incredible. So like, now I'm picturing them. Have you ever seen the video of it's Harry Potter, but it's in America, and they take all the wand scenes and put guns on them?
What? No.
Okay, there's this thing where they make a montage and they take all the scenes with wands, but they put guns in their hands. And it's like Harry Potter, but it's made in America.
Harry Potter gangster mode.
Yeah, now they need to go back through and take all of the guns out of
this
Terminator.
This is the Hogwarts legacy I'm asking for.
Out of all of the scenes in True Lies, Arnie strapped to the chair. That's what they'll have to do. They'll have to get rid of all of them, and they never will, because they're hypocrites.
Right.
It just bothers me. Like, it's one of those things where I always get fired up to talk about stuff like this, but then I'm like, they're hypocrites. What are we supposed to say? They're all scumbags. Like, it's like, and this is pull the ladder up behind you behavior at their fullest. It's the same thing with comedians where like, you can't make jokes like that anymore. You can't make that comment. That's offensive. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. You just want to be able to virtue signal now.
Because you built your career, if you're a comedian, you built your career in like the 90s and the 2000s off of being authentically funny, poking fun at every group when we had less like restrictions on what we were allowed to laugh at. And then now when the 2010s and the 2020s roll around, you want to act like you're becoming culturally sensitive. Yeah. And then no one else can get the money that you got off of being funny.
And there's no way to make money being culturally sensitive because it's not entertaining.
Yeah.
As we've learned.
I mean, there are some people that get Netflix specials these days that really shouldn't.
Yeah, but like nobody actually laughs at that stuff. Like
them.
Nobody laughs at Amy Schumer. I refuse to believe that anyone's ever laughed at anything Amy Schumer's ever said.
I saw this, I think she was interviewed at the Met Gala this year, and someone asked her what she thought of the theme. I think it was called Gilded Glamour. Yeah. They're like, what do you think of when you hear Gilded Glamour? And then she goes, oh, I don't know, a vibrator? Like, and then people say like, oh, you guys you're mean to Amy Schumer because she's not attractive, or she's not like conventionally attractive or skinny. No. If a hot skinny woman were saying the same thing, I'd be equally grossed out, because you shouldn't just like, your sense of humor shouldn't be just like, haha, sex.
Yes.
Like, haha, I'm gross.
Well, doesn't this go into the thing about
like, that's not funny.
Here's the
LOL.
We're gonna get copyright for the music, but they do it like with Harry, like they have like him when he gets his wand. And by the way, they all have fantastic trigger discipline. That's my favorite part about it. So
love it.
All right, let's we got some super chats there.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is one of those topics where it's like, I think I have a lot to say, but it really just comes down to you're pulling up the ladder behind you. You get to do it. Everybody else has to now come up with their own way. The other thing that's funny is I've been noticing, like, one thing that I've really enjoyed is finding comedians that are really good at being politically apolitical. And there's these two guys, it's like a dad and a son, and they make these hilarious videos where it's like, it's supposed to be like making fun of liberals, but they're clearly the bad guys. in the thing where it's like they're drinking whiskey and talking about sending their servant to go buy stuff on Black Friday. Hope he doesn't get run over on Black Friday. And then but they make all these jokes that are like weirdly like they're not the good guys and they're not supposed to be seen as the good guys, but it's weirdly apolitical. That's the type of thing that takes a lot of brains to be able to figure out a type of comedy or a type of entertainment that can shift between the cultures. But that's not most people, and that's definitely not Hollywood. But Hollywood wants to force you to have to do that while they didn't have to use those tactics when they were making things. That sucks. Yeah. That's annoying.
Let's go to Super Chats. Bad App said, we're going to make them wedding bells ring like the Taco Bell bong toots. There should be some like mixture of the Netflix dun dun
also
and
the
Taco Bell bong.
If you had your wedding catered by Taco Bell, what would everyone be eating?
I already said this. I think that they should form what looks like a wedding cake out of Crunchwrap Supremes.
Oh.
And then you could like
double-decker taco.
Slice it like it's a cake.
Also, I would like to know if anyone in the chat, do they have chili cheese burritos in your location? Because I've been told by people in Florida that they do not have, like, that's been a go-to thing with my friends. Like, I have friends in Florida. Every time I would buy a chili cheese burrito in Minnesota, I would put a middle finger there and send them a picture of it because they didn't have them there.
But now you don't have.
I don't know if they have them there now. They might have them. They might have brought them back.
Let us know if you guys have it in your area.
Also, I watched this great video the other day of a guy going on this incredible meltdown rant where they're like, McDonald's is like, we're bringing back the McRib, and he's like, no, nobody wants that fake meat back. Where's the snack wrap? And he goes on like a 3-minute diatribe of like, why the hell isn't the snack wrap back?
Right.
I never liked snack wraps, but
I think they're good. Yeah. Corey Anderson said, Mary, I made the engagement leap because you were evasive about your time away over Christmas yesterday. Love you, but not in a creepy way. Was I evasive?
Well, yeah, you were like, because they were like, "What'd you get for Christmas?" You're like, "I'm going to keep that to myself." Like, what did I do over Christmas?
It has something to do with the topic we just covered.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Cody McNutt said, "James Campon."
It's like tampon. Campin? It's like tampon, but campon.
Oh, is that what they were
I'm
going
assuming.
for?
You go, Cody.
JS said, next Cameron will undergo a procedure to get rid of toxic testosterone from his body.
See, what he could do is he could make a sci-fi movie about having it all removed from your body.
Isn't that coming out? It's like that one with Kristen Stewart in it. The David Cronenberg one.
Dude.
It's about like surgery is the new sex or something.
Dude, here's the thing.
It's coming out next year, actually.
Like, you know, like Cronenberg, like they talk a lot about how Cronenberg's like this, like he's like a real artist and stuff like that. He's one of the only filmmakers who makes stuff that actually affects me enough to be in my dreams. Like where I actually like will I'll remember, or aspects of it will play into dreams later on. Not regularly, but it has happened. Normally stuff like movies just roll off me. I can watch anything and just like I won't think about it later.
I haven't seen enough to know. Wayward Soul said, the guy who killed Brandon Lee on The Crow took years off work and felt intense remorse.
Michael Madsen.
Baldwin be like, not my fault. Back to work, everyone. He literally said he didn't pull the trigger, which is preying upon the ignorance of people who don't understand how guns work.
That actor, took a lot of time off, and when he came back, definitely looked a little bit older, like he lived a lifetime in that time that he didn't work.
Not that I wish that upon someone, but it is the normal human response.
Yep.
Like you needlessly slaughtered somebody by accident, but you did. Gross John said, Brett, you were talking about Klaus?
Did
you see it? It's pretty good.
I didn't watch it over the holidays. The only holiday movie I watched over this year was Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Back to back.
Home Alone 3.
No, I love Home Alone 3.
Can't stand it.
I love Home Alone 3. Okay. I have a story. I told it on that episode. Basically, when I was young, that movie came out at a time where we had what were called cinema cafes in Minnesota. And it was like you could go, the movie ticket was very cheap, but you went there and then you would order pizza at like a sit down table and watch a movie. And I would go there, buy the cheap ticket, eat pizza with my friends and we watched Home Alone 3 like multiple times.
So you had to order food.
I don't know if you had to, but we always did. Like he's like, it was still fairly reasonably
I'm confused
priced.
about the setup. Is the screen like big as a movie theater?
It's the same size as a movie theater. It's just less seats because it's tables rather than
with chairs. Normal chairs, not comfy chairs.
I mean, they're pretty comfy, but yeah, regular chair, like seats that you sat in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There are some movie theaters that like you order food and drinks to you.
That was I think that was Scarlett Johansson's big screen debut, Home Alone 3.
Really?
Yeah. So.
How old was she then?
She's very young.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Bobcat said, hey, Dave Landau got a special recently and he's almost funny enough to be on PCC.
Hey,
thanks. There you go. Jetstorm39 said, watching Harry Potter with guns reminds me of Pistol Shimp? I don't know what that is.
I recommend everyone go watch this. Like, I'm kind of paranoid here about getting copyright stuff, but like
you are delighted.
It's all ammo instead of coins.
Didn't think your mom and dad would leave you with nothing, though, did
you? That's pretty funny. Did they do this to the whole movie?
No, not the whole movie. Okay. But it's pretty well done.
Yeah. Damn.
Incredible. All right, we're moving on, guys. So
this next topic, I don't want to spend too much time on it because there aren't easy answers to any of the questions it brings up.
I'm actually having like my brain is kind of foggy today, it feels like. And I'm at like, this is not the day for me to try and talk about this.
To try to understand something as complicated as this. Okay, so Bella Thorne recently went on Emrata, or Emily Ratatouille, as we call her.
Who is Hollywood fast food? She's awful.
Yeah. She went on her podcast, and by the way, Emily Ratatouille's podcast definitely doesn't pass the Bechdel test because everything I've seen from it is them talking about men, talking about how creepy men are, or debating whether or not men are creepy. So they literally only talk about men, hating men, and being sexualized by men, and how it's so hard to be them.
Yep.
I don't know. So we covered her conversation with Mia Khalifa, and now she's just talked to Bella Thorne, who is a former Disney star. I don't know if a lot of you would remember her. I watched her on the Disney Channel in like 2009.
She was a singer though, too, right?
Yeah, they kind of like marketed both of them as singers and dancers, but obviously Zendaya surpassed her by a lot.
Yes.
Maybe like quicker. So Bella Thorne talked about how she had this experience with a director when she was at the age of 10. And this director was giving her feedback on her audition. And he then called, after they were talking, called her, the casting director called her manager, and her manager called her parents. And she found out that this director said that she was flirting with him and it made him uncomfortable. So I want to show the clip of her reacting to this real quick, and then we can like get into it.
All right.
So
are we showing? Okay.
She basically was framing it like this guy was in the wrong.
Okay.
But it's a little more complicated than that.
It is. Okay. Here we go.
I had a director give me feedback once, and I was 10. And the casting director calls my agent, and my agent calls my mom, and they're like, so she's not moving forward because the director felt like she was flirting with him and it made him really uncomfortable.
Oh my God, you were 10?
What the f*** are you talking about, man? I don't give a f*** what the f*** I said. I don't care if I said eat my pussy right now. She is 10 years old. Why ever would you think that? Why?
Also, him feeling like it was acceptable and like that it was a real issue.
It was an issue that it made him so uncomfortable.
Is he not allowed to say that he feels uncomfortable? What the hell is he supposed to do?
Bella Thorne, like, I'm not going to repeat this phrase that she said, but if a 10-year-old said that to anybody,
they
would rightfully feel uncomfortable.
Creepy.
They would feel uncomfortable. And you can call it something other than flirting, whatever. So the context for this that might be relevant is Bella Thorne has been outspoken about having been the victim of sexual abuse
from a very young age.
The age of 6 until she was 14 by a man she has not named. And she first talked about that in 2018 during like Time's Up, and then she published a book in 2019 where she also wrote about it. And it's really dark, obviously. And this happens to a lot of kids who are in the entertainment industry. It's plausible that maybe she was interacting with an adult man in a way that was inappropriate, given that she was mistreated by someone like that in that very like egregious way for so long. She wouldn't know how to have an appropriate relationship with an adult after something like that happened to her. So maybe she did say things that made him uncomfortable. So
what was he supposed to say?
If he's not a creep, then he would be uncomfortable by that. So to tell her parents is the right move. However, because Hollywood is so shady and there are so many creeps, and I mean, we were just talking about this incident with Lily Allen where they wanted her to do an incest scene in Game of Thrones with her real life brother. Like, we know that Hollywood is shady, that they're weird, that they try to push weird sexual themes onto the public, and they don't reflect the culture in that way. We might have a situation on our hands where the director was being creepy and he was projecting onto her that she was being flirtatious. We really can't know for sure.
In a world full of directors and creeps that are trying to hide their interactions with people while doing awful things, am I supposed to be mad at the guy who reported something as inappropriate? I don't know who's supposed to be the freaking bad guy here.
It certainly sounds ambiguous. And it's impossible to know what really happened. But yeah, like if a kid that age is acting like that with you, the first thing you do is never be alone with them.
No. Well, that's the number
I mean,
one question.
That was his first mistake. You don't interact with children as a professional alone.
10 years old. I mean,
without a guardian.
We're talking 15 years ago. She was like, it was a different world
I
then.
know it was a different world, but you know, Hollywood has and likely always will be the way it is.
The other
problem, like, this is the thing. More clear boundaries do need to be enforced between minor actors and actresses and the adult professionals that they work with. And I think like that still hasn't even been properly enforced in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's like maybe there's a stigma more so, but in real life, are the kids being protected as well as they should be? I don't think so. So the second incident I wanted to mention, she talked about being 14 years old and she was pictured by a fan on a beach in a bikini. And this was spread throughout the media. A lot of people were horrified that she was pictured wearing something like that in public at her age. And she said that Disney considered firing her over this. They didn't, but they told her that she had to wear like a baggy shirt and like shorts if she went on the beach again. So they were like, I mean, that does seem like a bit of a morality clause, you know?
Yeah.
So they almost fired her over this scandal. Definitely wouldn't happen today. Like these days, there are kids younger than 14 on Instagram posting like things that are even crazier than that. So
before we go, I want to go back to the director thing and then we'll finish. We'll go through it. If the director had just said, she made me feel uncomfortable, she's not right for the part, is that a better response? Like, I don't see what he did wrong here. He reported the incident that it made him uncomfortable. He just said, he phrased it in a way that she found somewhat egregious. I don't get in a world where the directors and the producers and the actors are taking advantage of children. Am I supposed to be mad at the guy who decides to not go forward with someone, with a child, because he was made uncomfortable about it? Mm-hmm. Where were the parents? Why weren't the parents in the room? That's a problem. Like, there's every level of manipulation and abuse is done to these children. And one person says that I don't want to be in the room with this because it made me uncomfortable, and he's the bad guy. I don't get who she's trying to blame here. I don't get it.
I think that she's
and the article headlines
misdirecting.
are bullshit, saying that he's sexualized. Like, even when he does the right thing, he's labeled as sexualizing children.
We don't know that he did the right thing.
Okay, I'm saying if we're to assume,
if we're charitably interpreting this, he did the right thing.
Okay, the other interpretation that I had was that I could say, if I was to take the most awful approach to this, if he was the bad guy and he did do something inappropriate and wanted to head off at the pass any chance of her complaining about it, he could make that complaint to make it seem like she's lying if she says something, which is something manipulative and evil that Hollywood would do.
Yeah.
But in this case, assuming that like all he did was say, look, I can't work with her, she made me uncomfortable, what am I supposed to think of that? Other than just...
But the thing is, like, I don't feel I don't feel animosity towards Bella Thorne for maybe misrepresenting this, because I think she's a very confused person who clearly has been through a lot that warped her perception of human interaction. And in her case, I mean, the thing that she's known for by a lot of people is making an OnlyFans and making $1 million in one day.
No nudes.
Off of some like lewd OnlyFans. She obviously sexualizes herself quite a lot. She maybe doesn't have a proper memory of how things happen, because that's a marker of being through like traumatizing experiences. I don't blame her for just feeling a general anger towards all of the adults that she interacted with during this period of her life. That makes sense. To just feel like, you know, that time of my life, I was not being protected. And I'm mad at all of the adults in that time of my life that I interacted with. And I think even if we're interpreting this as charitably as possible for the director, if you're an adult professional and your job necessitates interacting with minors on like a very frequent basis, then you should not be in complete privacy with them, just for your own reputation, for the sake of your own version of events being known.
My hope is they've learned that now.
Have your colleagues in the room and have that parent or guardian in the room. It's as simple as that. I think Hollywood just is full of people who are narcissistic, who are mentally unstable, who are unprofessional a lot of the time are genuinely creeps, and they just don't have the same social guidelines that we operate on.
And remember, we've talked about this a lot. That's the main thing
that we can learn from this.
In the real world, in the regular world, people do not work with children. Yeah. It's just not a thing. Like, I'm not
generally, unless they're teachers.
Yes.
But that's...
And even then, how many teachers now have a problem when parents have suggested, why don't we put cameras in the classroom? I mean, the parents are saying that because they want to be able to know what their kids are learning about. But teachers have been very opposed to the idea of cameras being in a classroom, which is really funny, because whenever I hear that, I think of the same line that cops used to say whenever they would... like when they would talk about how body cams were a bad idea, because they're like, well, it's a bad world we end up in if a cop's word isn't good enough. Like, well, we're long past that now in general society. But am I supposed to say that a teacher's word is any better? There's plenty of cases of teachers being awful with students, both male and female. Like, beyond the idea of just what you're teaching in a classroom, Hollywood should be no different. There should be cameras in there anytime. If I was a professional in Hollywood and I had to interact with children, it's like Henry Cavill not wanting to, having to separate his life with not, talking to Millie Bobby Brown about what his personal life is, because he understands Mike Pence was right all along. Never be alone in a room with a woman that's not your wife, especially if it's a child.
It's a solid choice. And everyone flamed Mike Pence for that. Not fair. People even acted like Henry Cavill was in the wrong. Like, some people who hate Henry Cavill.
That's what I'm saying. You can't win. They try to do the right thing. Yeah. They're insulted for it. They do the wrong thing. Then obviously they do the wrong thing. But when they try to do the right thing, they're saying, yeah, but not that way. Not that way. You have to do it. You have to trust them implicitly. Well, what if they say something about me that's not true? Well, why would you trust them implicitly? Why would they lie? Nobody lies.
But at the same time, I want to use the logic that's like, if you don't want cameras in your office, in your classroom, etc., why not if you have nothing to hide? Yeah. I know that's the logic they use about the NSA sometimes. Yeah. It's not nearly the same thing. No. It's not nearly the same thing to be monitored in your professional life compared to your private life. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not your family. That's not your loved ones. That's somebody else's child. That's somebody else's loved one and also, I don't buy for a second that her parents really care. Like, it just seems like she had a horrible home life.
Yeah. Most of the comments were not favorable to them. One person commented, what's the over-under on the collective IQ of these two? I'm going to go with 70. Another person said, well, I mean, I think Enrada is contributing maybe 40, and then Bella Thorne is the remaining 30.
Fair enough.
Another person said, any sane man would stay far away from a 10-year-old if he felt that she was being sexual towards him. He did the right thing. That's definitely what it sounds like, but there are other people, I bet, that interacted with Bella Thorne when she was a child star that are not good people.
No, it's like that's learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
Like you get that way by being like she was abused. She's admitted that she was abused.
I think that this just means nobody in the entertainment business is to be trusted, and we should just be glad that we're not part of that culture, because it's a severely backwards one.
Yep. Dragon's Talon 1001 says teachers in public schools are public servants and should be able to be videoed what they teach. Yeah. And not just that, but like think about that. Like beyond that, we talk about how like, look, there are teachers that do awful things with students. And I get annoyed sometimes because I point out like when a male teacher does something awful, it's sexual assault. When a female teacher does something awful with a male student, it's called, so what do they call it? It's something else. They call it sexual misconduct. Sounds so much more less evil when you phrase it that way. But the schools are full of messed up people because adults are interacting with kids. And we need a certain amount of authority or like of oversight being done when your kids are being put at risk.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of times we know that the parents don't care. Like a lot of these parents throw their kids to
show
the
business
wolves.
Parents definitely don't care about their kids because it's you're trying to make a cash cow out of your child.
And then
with few exceptions. So let's go to Super Chats. Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, "Thank you for picking up the slack for Timcast. You guys may need to talk with that young man." Yeah.
Well,
we'll need to reprimand him for, not doing his show.
He has worked very hard. He's taken some time off. There's nothing wrong with that.
Merry New Year. I guess that I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And then they said, Brett, keep being Mr. Brightside.
That's
I appreciate it.
Not the killer song. I'm just a nice guy. I'm just a friendly, happy guy.
I would hope they don't mean that killer song because it was like the cuck anthem of the 2000s.
That was that. Who's the other? All American Rejects were worse.
They were.
Yes. Very
Give
bad.
You Hell.
It's a horrible song.
It was nice maybe the first few times I listened.
No, thank you.
I was done. Porco Rosso Forever said, "I'm a few minutes behind. Mary, are you saying you got guns for Christmas? Based. I'm not saying that.
And if she did, she dropped them in
I'm
the
not
lake.
saying that.
They were lost in a boating accident."
Lindsay said, "Hoping I caused the crisis party."
Not quite yet.
Not quite.
It is a very hard to decipher meter sometimes.
That's why I wish that we had like the count on it. I don't know. We'll
also,
work on that.
I saw some chats earlier. They were asking if you were wearing a cat suit. Are you wearing a cat suit?
What?
Why
would they think that?
Because it's all black. I
wear all black like all the time.
All the time. I know. Like,
how is this any different? Just a normal shirt, guys. Get your heads out of the gutter.
Well, I mean, hey, there's nothing sexual about a cat suit.
Sure. Tell that to the woman who we were watching yesterday.
Tony says, "I am having serious Timcast withdrawal symptoms. Timcast IRL withdrawal symptoms." That's
well,
we're
here to help. Sorry, we're not as political.
Call us methadone or Suboxone to your Timcast IRL withdrawal. Oh my God,
dark.
All right,
dark comparison.
All right, so all right. Also, somebody asked when's Tim back. I believe they come back next Monday, right?
I don't know.
The second, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on. So this story is crazy, and this was also another one that I almost left off here. So a comedian named Jeff Ross, he's a roast comic. He did a special where he went into a jail and roasted a bunch of inmates, and they used the footage from one of the unused footage from this roast to give a guy the death penalty.
Yeah.
He was already convicted. He was later convicted. They used the unused footage of this roast to basically point out that the guy had no remorse for his actions.
The guy is still alive, by the way,
yes,
and probably has very strong grounds to appeal. So fret not. His name's Gabriel Hall. He was found guilty of murdering 2 people. It was a retired professor and his disabled wife.
Yes.
Sounds pretty gruesome. But anyway, I found it bizarre that this comedian went into a county jail instead of a prison, because in a county jail, anything you say or do, like they say in your Miranda rights, can be used against you. And it was like an interactive experience. The way that Jeff Ross does this, We can like show a clip of how he does this, but he goes into the jails and films like his interactions with these inmates. He says it's a way that he likes to like humanize inmates. I don't know.
Yeah, he actually gave like a fairly good example, like explanation early on. He's like, look, the prison system is designed to keep you in jail and that it's not actually helpful.
Yeah.
Like,
he said laughing at yourself is the first step to freedom.
Which is rather poetic when you're talking to a creepy dude with a swastika tattoo. So let's listen to this clip.
Does anybody ever get offended by your tattoo? Anyway, good luck with the rest of your stay in jail. How many years?
99.
Dude, you should get 6 million years for every Jew that died in the Holocaust. This, man.
See, they loved that.
Like I have friends that have pasts that have not always been the best of people. Like they would admit that, and I have noticed that all of them are infinitely less easily offended than everybody else that I know. Almost everyone else that I know.
Yeah.
Most people that have lived a life are a lot harder to offend because they understand the way of the world.
Maybe this is where a really good comedian gets relegated to in this day and age, where audiences will like heckle you and throw things at you if you're genuinely funny.
Yep.
Like inmates are the last people left who are willing to be the butt of the joke at sometimes, you know? Yeah. Like they're the only audience left that is friendly to a genuinely funny person. Well, and he's known for making fun of people for the crimes that they're charged with, for their race. And that happened with him and Gabriel Hall. And I would love to see this footage. It's not available to the public because it was cut out of the final special in 2015. But I would love to see this footage and the lines in it that they used to give this guy such a harsh sentence. I would love to know, because this is like an extreme case. It sort of reminds me of using rap lyrics to charge people.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. Well, I mean,
like
it's not
using rap,
not like, really the same thing.
But it's like, I think it's kind of adjacent if you're using this as example of media. A comedy special. Like, arguably, comedy as entertainment is an art form.
Yes.
And if his way that he does it is interactive and conversational, then the inmates' participation in it shouldn't be held against them, right?
No.
He has very easy grounds to appeal right now.
I mean, how different is this than like when you watch the true crime shows and they videotape the interviews with the people that are being interrogated? Mm-hmm. Like those convictions hold up.
Well, being interrogated isn't the same thing as being presented to by an entertainer.
It is really funny too, because it's just like they might have thought that this wouldn't have been used against them, and like I said, it wasn't used for the conviction. Yeah. It was used to prove that the inmate had no remorse for his actions, which gave them grounds to apply the death penalty.
How did they even obtain this footage?
I'm assuming the jail got early access.
Crazy to me that they even let this guy in the jail, because he's putting himself at risk. First of all, to get like attacked.
A lot of people are saying like what if he got shanked? They're saying that all the people that were involved in this were labeled nonviolent offenders.
I mean, Gabriel Hall was not a nonviolent offender, so.
But I'm saying like inside would have been, I guess, like, or we're on good behavior. I have no idea. Like that
at the very least. But this guy,
somebody in the comments
was charged with murder.
Yes, was charged with murder.
So he could literally get attacked.
Yep.
And I think at least if he did this at a prison, he doesn't have the risk of like getting any of these people like sentenced more harshly than they should be, and.
Because the sentencing would be done.
Yeah, their sentencing would be done, and you could only maybe give them grounds for appealing.
It does make me think more about the rap lyrics, but even the rap lyric stuff feels clearly more like art to me, because like, look, what Jeff Ross is doing is technically the art portion of it. They're the audience in response. It's not the same thing.
But again, they're not sitting in an audience, are they? It's kind of different. And also when they invite entertainers to, I mean, he does this with all sorts of groups of people. He roasts troops. He does street, like man on the street content. He roasts everybody. So it makes sense that he would like push the boundaries like this. But at least in a prison, it's arguably, you know, they invite someone like that to entertain, and it's sort of like when they invite people that preach to prisoners, like ministry. Absolutely. It's something that helps them, you know, assimilate to their new life or socialize better, right? So that would be helpful for prisoners. I don't know about people who were just thrown in jail and they're anxious about what's coming next.
Yeah, preachers go into prisons, right?
Yeah.
But our preachers, they don't have confessional privileges.
They do.
They do.
I think that if you are a priest and you need to administer the sacrament of reconciliation,
so if they were to,
then you would have privacy.
So if they admitted to a crime there, they would be allowed. They wouldn't be forced to divulge anything.
Yeah, it's the seal that they have to. Mm-hmm.
That's
different though, obviously.
Imagine this dude's at trial, like in there. Well, he's already been convicted, and he's waiting on sentencing now, and he's just hoping for life in prison, and he just doesn't want to die. Mm-hmm. And he finds out that this footage that was recorded for something else, they're not getting paid for any of this. This is considered entertainment for them.
So the jail doesn't benefit from this. The inmates don't benefit from this. Jeff Ross
benefits
having the special is the one who got free content out of it. I wonder what he has to say about this. So now Gabriel Hall's lawyer is on Twitter saying, trying to raise awareness about this because she wants to appeal this.
Yeah. And all for a dude who murdered a retired professor and his disabled wife. This is insane.
Yeah. I feel like it's, I mean, I don't feel bad for the guy because he's a little murderer. But, this is turning into one of those cases that Kim Kardashian picks up to.
Oh my gosh. she brings it to Biden.
Kim Kardashian should, go to the White House about him.
She brings it to Biden. She's like, look,
that's her bag.
He's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
He's that guy was asking for it. That's
exactly
what she would say. Because,
that professor. Look, she'll lawyer it up. I mean, I know.
But most of what she's doing is all weed convictions and people who got in trouble for
I know.
ridiculous.
But she could up the
that.
ante for sure.
Also, look, as soon as we got Brittany Griner out of jail, we should have let all of the people in jail for weed out here. If we're gonna prisoner swap for Brittany Griner, you should let all of the people in jail for weed here out.
I think the next people who should go to the White House are Pokimane and Jameela Jamil.
Let's go. Okay, actually, speaking of Jameela Jamil, we have Jameela Jamil here. She's complaining again.
Oh, what's new for Jameela Jamil?
Well, okay, so she has a disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and basically it makes her skin stretchy, right?
It makes her joints hypermobile, and it makes them pop out of their sockets, and it makes your skin have extra elasticity. And I think it gets worse as you get older. But anyway, she made this TikTok trying to raise awareness about it.
I'm so sick of people talking about how
Can we show the TikTok?
Yes. Is this? Oh no, it's just the photo. No. God, that photo is.
It's kind of terrifying. It reminds me of that character in Doctor Who.
Yes.
That was moisturize me.
Hold please.
So she got bullied in the comments on this TikTok because it's Jameela Jamil and she's not likable.
Let me just play it from here.
Well, look, my face. Look at how elastic that is. The reason it is so elastic is because I have something called EDS. That is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have EDS3, HEDS3, and it's the H is because I'm so hypermobile. It pertains to my joints. As you can see, nothing bends the right way. Everything bends the right and wrong way. And yes, that is very sexy. Thanks for asking. I want to talk about it in spite of the fact that people like to make fun of me over my health, because it's a really serious condition and it impacts.
They're obsessed with being wronged by people.
Do they make fun of you over your health?
Or
do they just make fun of you because you're Jameela Jamil?
And because you're annoying as hell.
And you're annoying.
Your body, and it even affects your mind. And it's very dangerous to not know you have, if you have it, because of the way that it impacts bruising, bleeding, healing. If you want to have a baby, it's so important that your doctor knows if you have EDS, because it makes pregnancy so much more complicated, childbirth.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. This is irrelevant. People in the comments
made fun of her
because they don't like her, because it's the internet, and that's how the internet works. Pokimane should learn a thing or two from this example. And now she's saying that the backlash made her suicidal.
Dude, get off the freaking internet.
Just put the phone down.
I have read...
Where's Tyler, the Creator, when you need him?
I've read annoying, mean comments about me in just the last couple of days. Guess what? Nobody saying anything has ever made me feel like I wanted to... did you see the video of the lady who's calls the comedian racist?
No.
Because he's like, I'm the most pro-Trump comedian.
The guy's name is Troy Bond, and he said, I'm the most pro-anti-Trump comedian.
And
but because this audience member heard the word Trump, she just like went into attack mode and started yelling at him.
And what stuck with me about that piece was he said, there's nothing you can say to me that I haven't said 3 inches from the mirror. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing you can say to me that I have not, like, I have harmed myself in so many ways in my life, and I have done myself so many disservices by the way I treated myself, by my own issues with self-esteem. There's nothing you can say to me, likely, that's going to be worse than the things I've thought about myself, but that does not make me suicidal. And if you're going to choose to be a public figure, if you're going to put yourself out there in the world, you have to accept that the internet is always going to internet. And you're not going to be able to change that. That does not make you better than these people. And they cloak it in some type of cause, right? Well, I'm just drawing awareness to this really, really unique, rare condition that I have. Let's just be kind to each other. And remember, just like empaths, there's nobody meaner to other people than somebody who says, just be kind.
And that's exactly the type of person she is. My take is that, yes, getting bullied or trolled online is par for the course as a public figure. But on top of that, Jamil has made a habit of being as obnoxious as possible on the internet. And she antagonizes others more often than not.
On purpose.
And then invites this type of response.
It's a cry bully. She's a cry bully.
Like when it comes to She-Hulk, she'll just say, like, take that, you incels. She-Hulk is a girl boss, and, you know, what are you going to do about it? Stay mad. Like, you antagonize other people and then cry out as they strike you back. Like, if you make a habit of being a widely disliked person on the internet, I don't blame you for it. Say whatever opinions you have, but accept the consequences and don't act like a victim. So here's what she said in her caption. The internet made fun of me over my health problems, and it made me suicidal for a while, but they're just a bunch of ignorant arseholes who haven't 1/100th of our strength. They can't imagine surviving what we survive, so they choose to gaslight us about it all instead. I'm so tired of hearing the word gaslight, by the way. The lingo, it's just getting old.
How does that, there's nothing, I'm on a one-man jihad against buzzwords, and that is the number one word. But here's the thing here. They cloak it in some type of, not only is everyone else bad, but they're virtuous and strong and standing up for good, all that is good, right, and honorable. And it makes me sick to my stomach, because they're just bullies. Mm-hmm. They're just bullies, dude. It's so...
I think that, I've said this, Jamil has done more to deteriorate civility on the internet than any of the people who are in her comments making fun of her.
And look, I'm not making light. We weren't making light of suicide or people with any type of like who are struggling. If you are struggling with those types of thoughts, if you are struggling with thoughts like that of self-harm, seek help as best you can. Lean on the people in your life that matter to you, the people in your life that care. This is not that.
I just think that when someone says it on social media,
it's for clout from her.
Often when it's someone with a pattern of behavior for antagonizing groups of people on the internet and grandstanding on the internet, you're bringing it up not for awareness purposes, but for self-pity and clout.
So it's like, I guess... I remember when the word jihad used to mean something. They're also saying jihad is a buzzword. Okay, fair enough. I guess. Fair enough. Look, it's just, there's nothing I hate more than cry bullies. The person who screams out in pain as they punch you in the face. That is the worst of the worst, because that's what virtue signaling is for a lot of cases. Like, what is it? Was it Elon Musk that said woke ideology is just an excuse to be awful to people and cloak it in false virtue? That's all it is. People have found a way that they can treat other people like an other, treat other people like they're evil, and this is just their way of going into it further.
Yeah, it's so
and turning
common.
it into money.
Yeah, it's so common with Hollywood personalities like Amber Heard, for instance.
Yep.
Sometimes,
or Emrata and Bella Thorne and Meghan Markle. Those are the ones that come to off the top of my head is Meghan Markle.
Sometimes Hollywood narcissists are able to function enough that they still have fans. And I think Amber Heard is an example of someone who just didn't bottle it up quite enough. She didn't skillfully cloak her narcissism with altruism well enough.
I don't even know if you can do, maybe just because we're sensitive to the topic. I don't know if you can do it well. Like it always comes across.
Meghan Markle has millions of people that support her.
It always comes across as
millions of people that see everything she does as good. I don't know how she does it, but that's what happens when you walk in lockstep with the media and make the media work for you, which never used to be the way that Hollywood and the media function together.
Well, yeah, because the media was designed as a pushback against the celebrities, right? They're the ones who kept the celebrities honest, at least in some respects. The paparazzi.
I mean, not even kept them honest, but just like allowed us to have our bread in circuses instead of making fun of us and making us the like. I mean, why are we the bad guys now in this narrative? 2, 1. Thank you.
Do you have big New Year's plans?
New Year's plans? I don't think so.
Nothing fun?
No. I mean, I don't even know what the point is of staying up anymore.
That was kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. Is like millennials are like, I go to bed early. I don't go out on Friday nights. I stay in. Okay, I don't go have fun.
I'm not doing that.
Going to have fun are for people that didn't know about climate change.
Okay, I promise to have fun and go out on New Year's Eve. Is that what you wanted, Brett?
Yes, it is. Only people who don't care about the environment go out and have fun.
Brett, you are that person. Yes. I probably go out way more than you.
Yes, probably.
And I don't even go out.
Yeah, but I'm older than you, so I have.
So you're allowed.
I have slightly more of an excuse.
You earned it.
I have more of an excuse.
Fine, you can vicariously live your fun New Year's plans through me.
Perfect. You can send pictures of all the fun. Like, what do you do for fun out here? Like,
we're literally like in the middle of nowhere.
In Washington, chat? Do they do anything in Washington D.C. for New Year's other than rip people off for their tax money?
Nope. Can't think
of
anything.
They just spend your money. That's what they do.
DC is definitely not like the fun city to live in.
Also, somebody in the comments says, love the self-righteous halo. It is self-righteous. Also, I mean, she is attractive when she's not making this face. I do.
No, she's attractive. She just doesn't do herself any favors with her personality.
No, she's
like Amber Heard. There are so many wasted cases of hot ladies just being annoying on the internet for no reason. Emrata is one of them. There's way too many cases.
Why do you think that is?
So, very sad. You hate to see it.
I watched a great video earlier about it was that video I showed you that the lady who explains where the quote the real etymology of the quote well-behaved women rarely make history, and how it wasn't a Marilyn Monroe quote, it was from another author. And that was very interesting to see her explain, like, we don't actually celebrate normal behavior. Like, we don't actually celebrate, like, the unsung heroes of the world, like a woman who just goes to her job, raises her kids, is a good person.
I think that, that line actually, not only was it not said by Marilyn Monroe, but it was made to praise the women who don't end up in history books because what they do is, like, the most honest and not talked about work, which is like raising the generations.
Maybe there's just kind of like a weird gap here for me. Like, I want, like, that's what I like. I like the people that just live a quiet life, but that's not our job. Isn't to talk about the people that live a quiet life
or be one of those people,
or be like, I mean, I'd like to think that for the most part I live fairly quietly outside of the job. Like, I don't feel like I do a lot. Like, I post a lot about skating, but that's like as inoffensive as anything could be. Like, and it's my own stuff. I'm not talking about other people's skating or things like that.
I think that what we do, like, in a very small way, is like a drop in the bucket to make the internet a little bit more of a fun place.
I would also like to feel like that we would at least be able to provide a little bit more nuance than is usually provided for most things. Like, the internet doesn't really reward nuance. It rewards hot takes and the most extreme opinions possible for the most part.
I don't know.
It's one of the reasons I do like Joe Rogan is because there's a lot of nuance to the discussions he has. You just have to be willing to listen to 3 hours.
Long form content is the thing right now.
Yeah.
That means that people actually do want nuance.
I guess social media does not reward nuance. Would be the better take.
Maybe not TikTok.
Like, here's the thing.
But I like TikTok for what it is, and I like a podcast like Joe Rogan for what it is.
Andrew Tate has actual nuanced opinions on stuff that aren't awful, but that's not what people see of him. They see the ridiculous clips that are taken as hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not rewarded for having nuance in short form media like TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just having a hot take. Like, I don't think that's harmful, you know?
I guess it's just like one of those things for like a Jameela Jamil. It's like, you can't get over it. Like, we know she is kind of the same type of fast food that I think of as like an Emrata or a Meghan Markle. I don't consider most of their opinions even worthy of discussion. Like, this is a rare example. Like, even this, I don't know. Like, this is barely something.
Oh, and Julia Fox.
Or Julia Fox. She's worse. She might be worse than all of them. But it is all like it's all the lowest common denominator opinions about stuff that's just designed to make people angry.
And also, in that same clip from Emrata's podcast, her and Bella Thorne start talking about how scary it is to think about raising a daughter in this day and age. And you have to tell her that every time she leaves the house, she might get R-worded. Like, you are not in the mental state to be raising a child if you have such a precarious mindset about the world. Yep. And if you don't instill actually in your child that they are capable of protecting and defending and speaking out for themselves, and you don't instill in them a very strong instinct towards protecting themselves and taking responsibility for themselves, they clearly view the world in such a doomsday light.
One of the worst things that I've ever, like, one of the things that became a kind of a tipping point for me when it came to paying attention to the culture war and everything, beyond just like, I took a perverse interest in how comics have deteriorated in the same way that games journalism did in the film industry. But for me, it was, I was out back in Minnesota and I was at work and I was helping someone outside, and a lady walked by with a shirt on. She was walking with her child and she was wearing a shirt that said "All men are rapists." Mm-hmm. She had a daughter.
It's like shocking.
I
don't even think that that's something that you should wear in public. Like, that's
offensive. It blew my mind. Like, I was like, first, like, and that's bad either way, right? If that's a daughter, you're raising her to be terrified of half the population. If that's a boy, you're raising him to be ashamed of who he is. Mm-hmm. What do you do?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way the culture is run. It's because of people like Julia Fox that shirt exists.
Yeah.
Like, that shirt doesn't exist without somebody seeing somebody like her make quotes like she makes and saying, there's a market for something like this. We could sell shirts that say stuff like that because yay fourth wave feminism and yay the downfall of Western civilization, a la the sexual revolution, all the way up to where we are now. Mm-hmm. Like, it just boggles my mind.
That and the story about the woman shaming you for holding the door open for her is just insane to me that happened to you. Because I, even being like the confrontational person I am, have not experienced anything on that level of insanity. It's probably just the areas that we've lived in.
It was a college. It was at a college campus. So it's like, that makes a little bit more sense that you're going to get that type of like person at a college campus. But those were the two kind of defining moments for me. It's like, wow, the world is, have you guys ever seen the picture of the Twin Towers and the kid on the, like, at the picnic, and it says like, the world you were born into no longer exists?
I did see that. Yeah.
That picture speaks more to, it's not even the picture, it's the quote. It speaks more to me each and every day that there are a lot of times where I'm not, and it's not just that stuff. It's watching media from before that time period, a time when you were far more innocent minded and you didn't understand how the media worked. You didn't get why the press was evil. You didn't get that that the movie industry was full of creeps and pedophiles. Like, there is a certain amount of naivete that comes with the world before everyone realized just how bad it is. What, oddly enough, Andrew Tate would refer to as the Matrix. And it fills me with a sense of sadness that like, part of it is that I don't think that world ever existed. I think it was a facade in most cases. You were built into believing that the world was better than it was. I think it was always this way. It's just that because of the internet, the democratization of information, the veil has been pulled back more thoroughly than we ever could have hoped for when you had 4 normal television stations and a handful of cable stations, because of the freedom in which information is passed from person to person. But I miss it. I miss the naive belief that the world was as simple as I thought it was.
I think in a lot of ways that the world 10, 20, 30 years ago, even as short of a time that is, was in a lot of ways objectively better. It was objectively better to grow up in the 2000s compared to the 2010s and compared to the 2020s. That's just, I will stand by that. I don't think it's just nostalgia that makes us think that the past was a little bit more pleasant at the very least, even if it's a facade. Speaking of a loss of innocence, Bill Cosby is going on tour again next year, and I've made this comment. I can't wait. We're going. We're going.
Have you ever noticed that famous people that get in trouble, does it speak to like the inability of human beings to really sit still and do nothing? Like he just couldn't be.
That's the ultimate. I think that's the ultimate rebuttal to cancel culture is that people can't just stop existing.
Yeah.
And they will continue pissing you off unless you kill them. Well, you shouldn't kill them. Okay. But you also shouldn't character assassinate them, which is essentially the same thing.
The whole point is that like, look, like his career should be over. But it's not, because he's going to get out and there's going to be people that are
it's going to sell out, and it's my fault. I
don't want to go.
Out of my pure curiosity, I'm going to see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because I want to see Amber Heard in it. I'm going to see The Flash because I know all of the backstory of Ezra Miller and it's freaking hilarious.
Dead fish,
meme like potential.
Dead fish
and I'm going to see
spread.
Bill Cosby in 2023 because it's Bill Cosby. Like, I want to know what kind of set he's putting together. I'm just too curious not to go.
Dead fish cheese spread says, hit on him, Mary.
Ew,
Make your move, girl. This is your time.
I'll happily stay in the audience and never interact with him personally. But we have to go, and then we're going to do a review of his set. Completely unbiased and objective, by the way.
Yes, it would be completely unbiased. We would have nothing negative to say about him unless it was actually just a bad set. Otherwise, we wouldn't be journalists. Oh wait, we're not journalists, and I don't have to go watch Bill Cosby.
I'm just so morbidly curious.
It's like who's next, right? Like who gets there? Like after Bill Cosby, does OJ?
I don't know. OJ is already out here being a social media influencer.
Did you see that video of him like in like his like
Martin Shkreli's even?
There was the
outspoken
video of OJ like partying with a bunch of women who are like more than half his age at this point, and he just looks really tired, and they're all like partying, and he just looks like he wants to go to bed.
Wait. Was it the one where there was that impersonator of Nicole Brown?
Maybe. Could have been.
There was like a girl that looked exactly like her.
Yes.
Woke him up.
Yeah, and he's like, what the hell?
And he was like, what the? Like he probably had his whole life flash before his eyes.
Jeremy Barnett says R. Kelly is next. R. Kelly just tried to he didn't try to release an album. Somebody tried to release his album.
Even if you don't, someone will.
Yeah, it's like, and there was people in the comment section defending R. Kelly.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising. Some people were like literally saying he's innocent and I stand with R. Kelly.
Well, there's also there's the argument well, look, we talk a lot of times about here's an interesting question to ask you. Where does the term separate art from artist start and end? Like, we talk about separating art from artist because people say crappy stuff on Twitter all the time. Where does separating art from artist come with this type of criminality?
I don't think that there's anything wrong with streaming someone's music who has even done something illegal.
Do you remember?
I don't think that's wrong. There's such a thing as being remote as a moral agent. Like, you are making a decision and it has moral weight, but it's their moral decision is a certain distance from you to the point where you're not responsible for it. And also, what is the worst thing that could happen from
listening to Bill Cosby?
I don't know what the worst thing that could happen is from giving someone who is a bad person money.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to contribute to the...
By giving R. Kelly a certain number of cents per minute by listening to his music on Spotify.
Okay.
Or by listening to Chris Brown's music on Spotify. There are levels to this.
Yes. Well, I think there's a lot more nuance to this topic. Like Chris Brown, he has since he never really addressed it, but Rihanna said basically that Like, we've come to terms.
I mean, I don't even care what Rihanna said.
Yeah.
It's their business. I don't care.
Yeah.
It was a private matter that happened between two individuals.
This is one where I'm going to end up would have been likely called a hypocrite, because I go back and forth on this depending on the day. Most days, yes, I don't really care. Like, I mean, I will listen to, like, I guess I don't really listen to R. Kelly, but, like, I watch movies that Harvey Weinstein produced. Like, that's not going to prevent me from watching any of the old Miramax movies. It's not going to prevent me from doing that. Does that make me...
It's not going to prevent us from watching The Flash.
Does that make me a level less or worse, like more or less bad than somebody who actively goes to a Bill Cosby show because they're...
If you're going to a Bill Cosby show because you support everything Bill Cosby has ever done, or if you stream someone's music because you support every decision they've ever made...
Yeah. So Dollclick says
that's weird.
Dollclick says you just forgave Kim. I did not forgive Kim. I don't think that that's what I said.
Well, it's also like, is it our place to forgive somebody? Like, it's not my place, for instance, to forgive Chris Brown because he somehow, did something wrong to all women. Like, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
He wronged one woman who has a name and a life of her own, and she is the person who is supposed to forgive him or not. And it's none of my business what went on between them or what continues to go on between them. I just don't care. And Chris Brown's music is good. And there's only so much you can do about that. Yep. There's only so much you can do about James Cameron being a good director, or Chris Brown being a good musician, or R. Kelly being a good musician. Like, I'm not responsible for this person's moral decisions.
Yep.
That's personal accountability 101.
That seems to be my take most days today. It's just one of those days, like the Bill Cosby thing is just so fresh in my mind now because of the news coming out. But most days, yeah, like you did that. It's not going to, like, a lot of people still love Woody Allen movies despite Woody Allen's behavior, things like that.
It's wild that he is going on tour. And I think that shows he probably feels very little or no remorse for what he has done. But
yeah.
There are far less known criminals out there who do the same thing all the time.
It's a weird world, dude. Like, this is entertainment is one of the weirdest places because you have to accept, like, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the world you were living in no longer exists. There was a time you did not know the personal lives of the people that you looked up to as celebrities. When I say look up to, I'm saying that you liked their work, right? Not that you looked up to them as good people, but look at all the stuff that came out about Elvis and his relationship with Priscilla Presley and how that's super creepy. Like, you can still love Elvis's music while understanding that and it does sometimes feel like a lot of times I read a lot of these articles that it feels like they the media loves to tear down all of the idols of like Americana. Like, everything that made America what it was back in the day needs to be torn down and shown as evil because it shows you that the foundation to which America was based, what our culture is based on, was a lie.
I think that cancel culture is something that people have done to self-soothe after we've lost morality.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
I get to stand on a moral high ground and deny the fact that I have a capacity to do monstrous things.
Yeah.
And impose that all on somebody else. Like, it's like a scapegoat. That's something people did as like a tactic to soothe themselves after actually they had moral standards stolen from them. Right.
I guess it's just one of those, like, on any given day, this is just me being wishy-washy. Like, most days I tell you, yeah, I don't give a crap. Like, that's, it is what it is. I'm going to enjoy the media no matter what it was, no matter who it was, even if they did something awful, because I love the media for what it was, not the person for who they are. That's separating art from artist. I'm just being slightly off kilter today. I'm like, do I really want to give Bill Cosby? Like, maybe it's just, you're allowed to have nuance.
I want to go
like,
because it's funny.
Like you're allowed to have nuance. Like, today I'm just like, yeah, most of the time, but maybe this is my argument. Then let me reframe that. Maybe it's like, when I do that, it's because I actually like the artist. I don't want to go see an artist out of morbid curiosity. I want to go because I actually like the media.
Well, you're a better person than me.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, everyone has their intent, has a different reason for it, right? Like, if I'm going to,
mine is just basking in the absurdity that is.
If I'm going to sell
culture.
a little bit of my soul to watch the media of somebody who's a scumbag, I hope I actually like the media rather than just, this guy's a scumbag, therefore I will consume this media.
It's not just because he's a scumbag.
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm
Look,
not
2023, it's going to be Bill Cosby's big comeback
here.
And it's going to be, Greta Thunberg and Andrew Tate's power couple era.
In the chat, they're saying that Andrew Tate's mansion is being raided right now. I obviously can't confirm that, if that's true or not. But yeah.
How do we even know this?
Did Greta, call up... I guess who would be doing the raiding? He doesn't live in America anymore, right? Doesn't he live in Romania? Did she call up the Romanian
exclusively, or does he have multiple properties?
Maybe
this one. It might be not the one that he's staying at right now.
She called up her friends. She's spoken with the World Economic Forum, right? She called up Klaus. She called up Schwab himself. And was just like, hey, can you have your buddies?
4 hours ago, Andrew Tate's luxury villa in Romania reportedly raided by Romanian authorities. Specifically, Directorate of Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism.
Now he needs to make a video saying, "How dare you?"
That's crazy. Well, maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Probably. All right.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Let's go.
BMF Nate Dogg said, "What a shame she's not Canadian." Is that about Jameela Jamil?
Yeah, I think they're talking about Jameela Jamil. Why? Okay, BMF Nate Dogg, I have to ask, why is that a shame? I would like to know why it's a shame. I have questions.
Yeah.
Why is it a shame that Jameela Jamil is not Canadian?
And then we have one from KK for Cocoa Puffs, said, "Bring on Ripaverse founder Eric D. July."
Eric D. July, that would be awesome. He's been on IRL before. In the early days, that would be, if he came back, that would be cool to have him do both IRL and come on here. I feel like he would have a lot of fun ripping apart the comic book industry. The funny thing about it is comics for me are one of those things where I collected a little bit when I was younger and completely fell off, didn't care for a lot of years, but loved the slow motion car wreck that is watching the comic book industry implode in real time. And it's become more of that lately. And I just love, there was a great video yesterday, and I do recommend, if you enjoy, any of my, rambling takes or stories, there's a creator named Comics Matter with your boy Zach. It's formerly Diversity in Comics. He did a great video yesterday where he talks about the only way to win the culture war is to not play. And what he's talking about, he's like, look, back in the day, you'd go to a comic book shop or tabletop gaming, or you'd go on message boards, and people would argue, sure, but they would be arguing about the characters. They would be arguing about the how to get to this level, who was the best character in this, who was the best player of this. Now nobody even talks about the material. We're guilty of this. We talk about the news around so much of the controversies of this media. Yeah. People aren't talking about the actual media because the media isn't good.
Well, it's difficult sometimes because we're talking about things that haven't come out yet.
Yes,
right.
In a lot of cases. But he's absolutely right. He's like, the only way he's like, you know who wins the culture war? The culture war. The left doesn't win the culture war. The right doesn't win the culture war. Nobody comes out ahead. Everyone's just, there's not a day where Disney wakes up and goes, he's like, there's not a day when Disney wakes up and goes, we have been making the wrong content. We must now change everything and go in this direction, because you know what? First of all, that's not going to please even everyone that has a problem with Disney has problems with Disney for different reasons, right? There is no winner. The only way you can win is to not play. But the thing is here, if you're watching the show, you're actively involved in the culture war. So I can't, in good conscience, ask you to not participate, because then you wouldn't be watching the show. I love that you're watching the show with us, but there are days where I'm just like, I don't want to be part of it anymore. I don't want to. It's draining.
I don't find it that way.
It's draining.
I think it's fun.
Me and you are very different people.
I want to have Eric July on so we can call people crackheads.
He loves to go. And then I can be offended. I'm like, well, as a recovering drug addict, though I was not a crack user.
But you didn't use crack.
Yeah, so I'd be like, but as a recovering drug addict, I find it highly offensive that you refer to all people that you don't like as crackheads. And that's how I will say it in that voice.
Maybe worse than the accent Andrew Tate has.
And then you can go to Eric July. Yeah, well, what color is your Bugatti?
I wonder. VMF Nate Dogg said he should do a gag where he buys girls in the audience a drink. Oh no.
Dude. No. A segment called "What's in That Drink."
Yeah.
Like, or it's the Bill Cosby taste test. And it's like the name of the special should be called "This Drink Tastes Funny."
Wait, what?
His special should be called "Bill Cosby, This Drink Tastes Funny."
See, you're sick in the head, Brett. You're coming up with ideas for a set before he's even.
Yeah, but I'm not going to spend money on it.
I think that we should. I think we should go see it. Bobcat said, as far as OJ or Cosby, would the government have had to falsify evidence if they were actually guilty?
For OJ.
I mean, you're assuming that they falsified evidence. So, I mean, both of them went through a trial.
Don't a lot of people consider the acquittal of O.J. Simpson to be a social repercussion of the L.A. riots?
Yes.
Like, that's very, like, a common belief is that, like, look.
Yeah.
There's also an amazing, and I mean an amazing Chris Rock skit where he talks about, it's like, he talks about the O.J. trial, and he says, black people are like, we won. What the fuck did we win? Every day I look in the mail for my O.J. prize. Nothing. It's like the idea is like what did we as a culture, what did we as a people win because O.J. Simpson? Because that shit wasn't about race. That shit was about fame. Because if O.J. wasn't famous, he'd be in jail right now. Because if that was Jerry Seinfeld on trial for double murder, and the only person that's witnessed it just happened to be a member of the Nation of Islam, Jared'd be a free man, be eating cereal right now. Like, it's like the idea is like it wasn't about his race, it was about the fact that he was famous. I don't actually know if that's I believe that, but it's like that was an interesting take on it.
Mm-hmm. BMF Nate Dogg said Granddad said Cosbiness is next to godliness.
Well,
hopefully
your granddad should be on a list.
Darius Harvey sent us a big super chat. No message though.
So
thank you.
Very generous in the strong silent type.
Strong
much like
silent
Big Dave.
type.
So thank you very much, Darius.
Yes. Lane said, I'm a broken record, but I feel like you should start separating art from artists when the money provided starts directly funding a message or cause against your values. Buy Harry's Razors. And then he said Jeremy's Razors. I'm ashamed I didn't catch that. It's okay. Jeremy's Razors. Yes. BMF Nate Dogg said, so she would have a choice. What?
I want to go. Okay, so I want to go back to the last one from Lane. So it says, "I'm a broken record, but I feel like you should start separating art from artists when the money provided starts directly funding a message or cause against your values." And then, of course, he means by Jeremy's Razors. Like, it's a little bit different. We've talked about this before. It's a little bit different in our position because it's part of our work. Like, but at the same time, like, I fully admit that I watch plenty of streaming stuff that is not related to my work that are probably from celebrities that would hate me. Like,
but that's different than like donating message, to a cause.
Like did we ever end up mentioning yesterday the celebrity bail reform group that got shut down because they bailed out a dude who ended up like shooting a waiter 11 times. Yeah. Celebrities are generally awful people. And in that case, are they awful or are they just really dumb and misguided?
Both and.
Depending, yes. I guess it's a case-by-case basis. But this is one of those things, right? Like, there's a lot of nuance to this stuff. But I guess I've come to my terms with it. It's like, I will go, if a bad person makes art that I love, I can stomach it because I love the art. I don't know if I can do it just because I'm morbidly curious about it. Though maybe I would, like, I could logic my way out of it and say, as long as we did a review for Bill Cosby on here, then we could.
Then it
fine.
Technically would be Tim supporting Bill Cosby.
Yes.
Big scandal.
Yeah. Well,
the headline will be Tim Pool supports Bill Cosby.
Don't give the rags.
Don't give them ideas. BMF Nate Dogg said, so she would have choice to not endure her stretchy disorder. I'm pro after birth choice. Women's rights, yo.
Yeah. In the chat, Jacob Elders.
In Canada?
Yeah, blame Canada. Edler. Jacob Edler says, Brett out here calling celebrities awful, but crying when they die. Shaking my head.
Whoa.
All right. Like, look.
I mean, I don't think you said you cried.
I did
when Heath Ledger died.
No, I said that I was shocked by it and I got hit by another car. Like, that's not the same thing. And I said that there are celebrities that have made amazing impacts on people and culture. I can't think of any off the top of my head that had a huge impact on me when I died. Prince was a big one in Minnesota because Prince was a big part of Minnesota. Kirby Puckett dying was a big part of culture in Minnesota, and he had like domestic violence like stuff against him, but the 1991 World Series, Game 6 home run, Game 6 catching the almost home run off of Ron Gant or whatever. Like, look, there's a lot of gray area to stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying I'm not endorsing all of these people as great people, but I'm saying that the art is moving and matters. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I never refuted that. I think I was just trying to point out that the TikTok trend itself, even if you think on an individual case-by-case basis, it was rude, was pointing out a big cultural problem, which is the culture of celebrity idol worship.
And that is a weird part of like what we do here, because I am consistently shocked by how like people that have pictures of celebrities as their bio picture, who does that? That's freaking weird.
I mean, I think if you have a Stan account and you're a kid, that is more normal. But if you're past the age of like 17, 18, you should probably retire that behavior permanently.
Lovely Nightmare says, yes, I went to a Prince party that lasted till 6 a.m. at First Avenue. So that's a Minnesota. Lovely Nightmare must be a Minnesota resident. Yeah. When Prince died, that was an amazing thing. Like an amazingly shocking thing in America. And also it hit close home to me because his was a fentanyl overdose, and he was, for the story that I heard is like he was walking around like looking to get, like he was trying to get Suboxone because he had opiate issues from what I remember correctly. I could be misremembering that, but he had substance abuse issues, and Prince was a huge part of American culture. One of my favorite, like there's the song When Doves Cry and the movie in the song Purple Rain are indelibly linked to my childhood because my mom loved Prince and stuff like that. So it's very hard to just say, oh, they're all awful, but not understand that we make exceptions for the things we love.
He also, I think, is an example, along with probably David Bowie, of when androgyny, or maybe if you call it like gender bending, whatever it was called back then,
didn't make you
it wasn't part of like it wasn't all consuming of your entire identity.
If anything, it was, like he would also talk about how he was religious. Like he would talk about being closer to, I think he was anti, like I read some articles that were like basically them trying to like rationalize his religious views because they were like, because like I think he said like homosexuality was a sin or something, like in an old interview, and they're trying to like make it okay, kind of like J.K. Rowling.
I was even thinking of recently Tattoo, after, of course, like, what year was it when they did that? Like 2002, when they did this, the big like kiss on TV. That at the time was kind of more shocking to the culture. And then when asked about it later on, they were actually kind of homophobic, or at least homophobic by today's standards.
Yeah.
Maybe not by mine, but they said, like, one of them said, like, if I had a gay son, I would like condemn him.
Well, and Kevin Hart said that in a stand-up and lost
that
his...
used to be like more of a mainstream opinion to have, though.
Kevin
Hart, a lot has changed.
Kevin Hart said that like he would never want a gay son, and they like 10 years ago, and they took away his right to his hosting of the Oscars or whatever. Like he was supposed to host the Oscars, and
I think that's a joke that you should still be allowed to tell.
And a clip resurfaced of him from a stand-up special 10 years earlier, and they're like, now you can't host the...
In fact, making that joke now would be even funnier because you could be like, I don't want my son to carry a tote bag and like K-pop. Anyway, KK for Cocoa Puffs said, Brett, do you see Keanu Reeves in the same light as Tom Cruise? He seems one of the few non-controversial celebs next to Denzel Washington.
He just hit like my trinity, my trifecta of celebrities in a lot of ways. Keanu, Tom,
the ones that you have shrines to in your bedroom.
Tom Cruise, not because he's not controversial, because he's got plenty of controversial takes, but he's standing right now for the fans, and he's like, it's an honor to entertain you, and I consider myself a sucker for that type of media. Lie to me, Tom. Lie to me. Does he actually consider it an honor to entertain me? Probably not, but I'm ready
Probably
to be...
just has a death wish.
I'm ready to be lied to. But as far as Keanu, like, it seems real to me, and Denzel Washington is incredible. Those are the three go-tos for me as far as celebrities that I would consider really worth really worth... I don't know about supporting is the word, because like even the other day somebody was talking... what were we talking about the other day? And they were like, I want to buy something from somebody because they made some comment they supported. I don't remember what we were talking about. I'm like, don't buy something from a celebrity just because they made some they had some take that you agreed with. Then you're just kind of playing into the marketing aspect of our culture right now. Mm-hmm. So. And then there's one
Charlie
more.
Red said Purple Rain, worst movie with the best soundtrack.
Basically. Also, I love that. Like somebody made a comment earlier, the picture of him in the motorcycle. I love that. I have that shirt somewhere still. I don't think it's an original, but I got it at a thrift store of the cover of Purple Rain.
Sitting somewhere next to your
Coyote Ugly
shirts
that I will look the second
that you totally purchased for yourself and weren't given.
That second shirt is very Affliction or like the one with like the red one.
Yeah.
The text on that is very like Chopper like what was the motorcycle club?
I don't know.
Choppers or whatever, like the shirts that were really like kind of like Affliction and all of these like that logo. It's like I can't wear that. The first one I might wear.
The other one you said you would not wear in public.
I won't wear them in public. I'll wear them around the house. I will wear them. I will wear them or at work.
Fine.
Hey, what about your Twilight blanket? You can't wear that in public.
It's not clothing.
I know.
If you got me a Twilight shirt, I would have worn that.
That's a birthday gift.
Write that down. Write that down.
Write that down. All right. So that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Mary, thank you so much. Let everyone know where they can find you.
I will. You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can also read my inane thoughts on Twitter. That's also Mary Archived. Keep up with me there. I have Parler, if that matters. Same username.
Do you use your Parler?
Not really. I don't know why I felt like mentioning that. And as usual, I want to tell you to leave rates and reviews on whatever platforms you listen. If you listen exclusively instead of watch, please rate and review. It helps our visibility. Thank you for the money. Lane said, for coming back between Christmas and New Year's, I have to work this week too. Yes, we're podcasters of the people.
It's really funny. Like I've pointed that out before. Like I remember there was a time, I don't remember what holiday it was, but I think it was actually Tim's videos because it was at a time when I was like, I didn't really watch IRL. Like I don't even know if IRL was around at the time. It might have even been before that, but it was like Christmas Day and I was going to work or New Year's Day and I was going to work and I was like annoyed that none of the YouTubers like Tim that I watch normally were releasing content that day. So it does kind of
until you become a content creator and you know what it's like.
It's like you gotta put in the work so that people have stuff to listen to. Like I said, the biggest compliment that I've got, like thing that's meant the most to me is like people saying like they listen to the show like while long haul trucking or doing stuff like at their job. That means a lot to me to hear that people listen to it like that. I will never take this job for granted, that is for sure. So was that everything? Parler?
Yeah.
Parler.
Mary Archived. If you're interested, if you're active on Parler, parlaying.
All right,
parlaying? I don't know.
Parlaying?
I have no idea. I have no idea what the lingo is.
All right, guys. Before we go, please like this video, leave comments on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. It helps the channel grow. Thank you so much. I've seen more engagement actually too. I think because other people are off work, they are coming over to us and they're like, you are making content, so they're watching. Hopefully that helps. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic for the show Monday through Friday here, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.